Welcome everybody to this live masterclass. One, really excited to go through the entire 7-step process, and then two, I'm really excited for the live Q&A. If we have some time, I'd love to underwrite some markets, look at some deals live with you guys. You guys can literally see me behind the computer. Just want to make sure you guys can hear me. Can you throw a 7 in the chat if you can hear me? I love to keep the chat active as well so we can see the chat. If you see us looking this way, that's at the actual chat box. And so I want to make sure you guys can, let's see, no sound. Cool. All right, looks like you guys didn't have sound.
Perfect.
That's why I asked. I said put a 7 in the chat if you can hear me. So put a 7 in the chat if you can hear me now. Perfect, I'm seeing the 7s. Awesome. Guys, welcome to this live masterclass. I'm really excited to get through the entire 7-step framework. And then also, I'm excited to do the Q&A. If we've got some time, I'll do some live underwriting as well. Maybe we'll pick a market, we'll look at some deals, we'll run the numbers backwards, look at what the profit margin is, the cash in. Essentially, what we're gonna cover today, we'll then implement and do some live as well, live underwriting. Like Redfin, Performa, we'll go through the whole 9 yards. So really excited. I see a lot of 7s, so I'm glad the audio's working. Just let me know if you guys have any feedback or anything. Throw it in the chat as well. Let's see. We're good. So I see that. All right. Awesome. So this is going to be the framework, the entire 7-step process. We're going to lay it out for you guys. We're also going to share what our clientele is doing right now, how active we are, the projects we have in the pipeline, our story as well. So let's jump into it. Let's see here. So what you're going to walk away here. One, I know you're going to have that notepad, but if you can't keep up, just take the main things, anything that stands out, the gold nuggets, whatever really resonates with you, take note on that. And then we're going to answer all of the questions in the end. So we want to make sure that we answer all the questions that you guys have and make sure we cover it all. So one, understanding how much capital you need to get into this deal flow and deal. Two, walking through the 7-step process. This is the framework that we use to build our 250 doors. Plus, we've got 100 doors in the pipeline right now, so we're very active in the real estate market. Three, I'm going to show you some people as well that took this 7-step framework and now are doing projects as well. A lot of them don't actually have real estate experience. So I see that some of you do have experience. This is a really big key for us, is following that framework. And then the fourth thing, we're going to show you what it looks like. You do it on your own or what it looks like with some help. So, Ruben, if you want to share a little bit on yourself.
Yeah, a little bit about myself. So I started in the construction industry with $250,000 in debt from my previous business. I started in the construction game by working as an assistant superintendent, assistant project manager for a national builder that probably all of you guys know here. I built my very first home on my own on the side while working this 9-to-5. To date, since then, for building that home, I actually got fired. More on that later. And I ended up building 240 houses since then. More now, but we just put that in the slides conservatively.
And my name is Arthur. I go by Arthur the Developer on social media, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, etc. I had no construction background. I actually came from the auto industry, and so I didn't understand real estate at all. I ended up building 6 homes on the side. I'll get more into my story while working my full-time job and then quitting. And then now I've developed over 1,000 lots to date, residential. I've done some commercial as well, Dutch Bros, Jiffy Lube, Starbucks, Chipotle. And then also I've done over 100 doors in my name without me actually being the contractor or the GC, and subbing everything out, hiring the builder, putting the entire play together and walking through this 7-step process on my own. Let's see. Go ahead, Ruben.
So this is exactly what Arthur just said. This is visually, you can see one of our 15-unit apartments up there in the top corner. This right here is a project off of 112th here in Vancouver, Washington. And today, actually, Arthur has done over 1,000 lots, and he would sell them off to national builders. And since we've started the Buildup community together, we have scaled across 17 states, and we build pretty much anywhere in the United States where we have clients. These are some of the projects that we've done, mostly residential. You'll see a few commercial projects here.
I always say if there's new construction happening in that city or state, there's profit to be made. So unless you're in the middle of nowhere where there's zero construction, if there's new construction homes, there is money to be made. A little bit on my story. Again, before I was in the auto industry, I actually really love Subarus. We're in the Northwest. I'd buy all sorts of Subarus, the Foresters, Outbacks, everything. And then I'd buy these STIs, if any of you know what they are. I'd put some wheels on it, make it look cool, and then sell it for a profit. So I was in the auto space. I did sales for cars, and then I would also buy and sell some cars for a profit. I'd actually fix and sell them, similar to maybe like somebody would do fix and flip. I actually wanted to get into the fix and flip game, but I couldn't get an entry in. It took me 4 years to finally do my first real estate deal. 4 years from when I said I want to do real estate to me actually getting that first deal done. And one of those real estate deals was the same thing as me flipping 20 cars. That was my aha moment of $47,000 of profit. I wasn't actually the one operating the deal. That was the builder. I wasn't the one finding the deals. That was my agents and that was my wholesalers. And I didn't even need all the cash because I would flip these cars for cash. I only had to put 10% down. So my down payment was 50 and my profit was 47. I doubled my money. When I'm talking the money that left my bank account, we're actually going to get into the cash on cash. And so you guys will learn that entire process. And what's really cool is we have over 340 doors combined with our Buildup community out of the 511. I'll share more on what 511 means, what it stands for as we continue to break it out. So my journey, first home, 47,000. I was working a full-time job. And I was like, this is crazy that you can do this while working a full-time job. So I really learned the game of leverage. We're going to walk through leverage, what that looks like. Then I built my second home, which was my personal house. If you guys don't know, you can put 5% down on your personal home, and there's a tax-free benefit of up to $500,000. It's not deferring tax, literally tax-free, tax exempt. You don't have to pay $1. You can have all the money in your bank account. People mix that up with 1031 exchange, which is investments. We'll cover that as well. But I ended up taking $56,000 and turning it into $335,000. You might ask how? Well, instead of putting 10% down, I put 5% down. I specifically chose the right product for the right area, and I got to ride the market, and that's what we're going to chime into today. And then my current home, I'm at $278,000 of equity using $62,000 down. That's on the appraised value. As Ruben would say, it's worth a lot more than that. The bank said it's worth $900,000. Ruben thinks I could get 1.2 for it. I do plan on building my next home after this, so we'll see if I can get that 1.2. If so, I'll break a new record for a personal house and the profit on that side of things.
A little bit about my story. So many people come to me and they say it's impossible to get into construction. I have zero experience. I don't know what I'm doing. And my story is probably a whole lot worse than yours. You are in a better starting place than I was. $250,000 in debt. I had to settle my debt. I could not pay it. I started with simply picking up trash around the job sites, doing simple to-do checklists. We call them punch lists. I was doing the stuff that nobody wants to. And at the end of the day, I was watching the national home builder. Although they might have been $1 billion company, I watched them sell these houses without a problem and make all of the profit. And I thought to myself, I was like, I'm managing these projects. How hard could it be to take on my own? And that's when I decided to become the actual builder, the actual developer myself. A little bit about my first deal. Since I was in debt, since I had a bad credit score, I didn't have the cash to actually bring the money for the deal. I brought on an investor. So I didn't need credit. I didn't need capital. All I did was split the profit. My first home, I made $53,000 of profit using none of my own money, not my own credit. And I built this home, sold it for a profit. A few homes in between. My second actual personal house that I moved into, same strategy as Arthur. It's the tax-free game. I made $248,000 of profit in that 8-lot subdivision that Arthur developed. And then currently, on my current home, instead of selling it, I decided to pull a HELOC instead. That's essentially a line of credit against the house. I pulled a $252,000 HELOC, and I'm using that in projects today to make a profit. So,
and then you've got your third house that's not on here that he's about 70% done with, so he's working through that as well.
So the summary is, today you are starting from a stronger position than I was, and anybody can get into this game because you can pay for experience. That's simply called hiring a GC. You can have people find deals for you, like a wholesaler, like an agent. And so we're going to show you that here shortly.
So when I said I built my first house, I realized I don't have to have the cash. I would put in a few thousand into a car, add some upgrades, sell it, make a profit. Here, I had to put 10% down. The bank was technically my majority partner at 90%, but I got to keep all the profit. I just had to pay the interest. And so that's where this leveraged ecosystem is something we've created. And this is the system you run with and understand before we jump into the 7 steps. So I want you guys to understand, as that developer, really your role, what you're actually doing is you're finding deals or you're getting deals brought to you. So I like to have deals brought to the table. I'm not the one reaching out. 80 or 90% of the deals come to me. I underwrite it, I look at it, I make sure it pencils, and then I either make the offer or I pass. So you're the one that's getting the deal flow coming to you, and you're underwriting it to make sure it locks in and pencils, and then you're leveraging out to these 4 people. First, you have the lender. They're giving you 85 to 90% of the project capital. You're bringing down that 10 to 15%. If it's the personal house game, 5%. Then you've got the drafter or architect. Here's the difference. We're going to cover this when we go through the plans and design, but you don't actually need an architect. You only need a drafter. But this person's going to give you the layouts, what it looks like for design, what you're going to configure. You're the one steering that ship and telling them what product type is best for the area. We'll cover that as well. But the drafter is the one actually doing the hard work. Then you've got the agent. The agent's going to sell the deals for you. One big key thing, guys, just because somebody has a license does not mean they are good. I know this sounds a little harsh, but it's just based on our experience. That's what we've noticed. And then I started doing some research. I'm like, I'm actually curious, how many agents close deals? I looked it up. 90% of agents don't actually close a deal every year within their 5-year period. So if you look at an agent that's been around for 5 years, they have their license, they don't close a deal every year. To me, that's a big red flag. Okay, so they're not actually experienced, they just passed the test. The 10% that do, out of the 10%, so 100 people, 10 of them are actually closing deals every year. Out of those 10, 2 of them are doing most of the volume. So there's actually only 2% of agents that are really good. That agent is a key when it comes to building out this ecosystem. Then you've got the builder, the one that's going to do a cost plus contract. They're going to build the project out for you. You're going to get a cost plus, meaning you're paying them a builder fee on top of those costs. And they like to work with investors and people like that because it's a different structure than a client builder who is upcharging everything. And so you got this entire ecosystem. Go ahead, Ruben. Any thoughts on it?
No, this is perfect. At the end of the day, this is how Arthur was able to build 6 homes while working a full-time job. Otherwise, without using other people and hiring the professionals, this ecosystem would not work because you physically aren't able to build 6 houses full-time without having to actually hire subcontractors.
Awesome. Guys, put a 7 in the chat if you're seeing the bigger picture. You're excited to go through the entire 7-step framework and you're looking forward to it. Let's see here. All right, awesome. I see 7s in the chat. Let's go. I love it. All right, before we jump into that, I want to give you guys the next framework. The next framework is, if I was to step back and I was to restart and look at this as what's the easiest way to become successful in this development game, it's these 3 stages. 0, you're in the beginning stage. Maybe you're an agent, you're a wholesaler, a loan officer, you work a 9 to 5, self-employed, business owner. You're somebody just in this interested, right? You're in that bucket. But then you have these 3 stages. The first stage is you have to understand how to master finding deals. You have to understand what is it to find a deal. It doesn't mean you're the one always searching. The deals could come to you. But you have to understand what deal flow looks like. Now, if somebody is in this bucket and they're only sticking to level 1 and they're not jumping to the next level, then that means they're selling deals off. You could be called a wholesaler, a middleman, but this is in the development game specifically. If I had no money and I had to restart and all I had is my knowledge, I'd be a deal finder. I understand that I can get paid 5 to 30K per deal by me simply finding the deal, understanding what product I'm going to build for that area, build out a pro forma showing what a builder could build, and then I'm going to pitch the deal to the builder at a 5 to 30K upcharge. What happens is I never actually have to buy the land. And I get paid because I'm the one that understands the deal and I'm the one that found that deal. The timeline is 14 days to 60. If you're doing the wholesale game, you can do a quick close cash. It could be on a single family home. Sometimes if you're doing land, it could take a little longer because they're working through the permitting. And then it could just be a traditional buyer buying it that takes 60 days to close. The cash you need for this, 0 if you're driving for dollars, you're finding deals, you're calling them directly, up to $5 grand if you have an entire marketing channel working. Again, that role is that middleman.
So for stage number 2, if you were to restart, just like Arthur mentioned, This is the builder stage. There's two kind of ways that you can go here. You can either hire a builder, like Arthur mentioned, or you could be the builder yourself. The profit on this stage is anywhere from $50,000 a deal up to $250,000 a deal, depending on the size of the deal. The timeline, 6 to 12 months to complete one of these deals. That 6-month leader, the only reason we put that in there is literally for permitting. In some areas that we've worked, St. John's, Indiana, you can get permits over the counter. In places like Portland, Oregon, it takes us sometimes 6 months to get permits. In places like California or Seattle, it might take you 12 months to get building permits, and that's when the construction schedule starts. The down payment required, typically with a lender from Buildup Community, you're looking at 90%. 90% is what the lender will cover. You have to bring the 10%. If you're doing a personal house and you're going to be putting up your W-2, your finances, you're going to be putting up your tax returns, you only need 5% down, and it's a 31-year mortgage. At the end of the day, we call this the adult babysitter because you're not doing the work, you're checking and scheduling out all of the different subcontractors.
So on the cash side, let's say you're putting $30K in, you're turning it into $50,000 or $60,000 of profit. If you're building a duplex, you're putting $90,000. I actually built a duplex, put $92K down. I made $238K, so you can see $90,000 to $238. This is your cash out of your bank, the down payment, not including what the lender is covering. And so the cash on cash is great. Timeline varies. Then you jump to stage 3. So you understand deal finding. You understand now you can find deals. You're going to hire the builder. You're going to assemble the whole team. You're using the leverage ecosystem. And now you're building out projects. Now you think, okay, well, how can I create my own subdivision, my own lots, and I can leverage 1, 2, and 3 and literally triple dip into all buckets. That's where the developer comes into play. What does this look like? Somebody coming in with a raw piece of land, or you're coming into an area where there's a larger parcel of land within a developed city or county, and you come in and you split those lots up into multiple lots. So you might buy a lot for $200,000, you add in the infrastructure, and now you have yourself 6 lots. Those 6 lots could be worth significantly more than the original purchase price. Then you come in and you actually go build product. Now you have a profit margin on the build side. So you get profit on the land and you get profit on the build. The timeline is 18 to 36 months. Why? Because it takes some time to go through the process of splitting the lots, but that process is 100% worth it because you can see the profit and the upside is significantly more. The cash in, $250,000 plus or minus. Why? Depending on how you structure the deal. I have some deals right now where I signed a contract for 2-3 years as I'm developing the property. I don't actually own or purchase, but I lock the contract in because I signed a memorandum of contract on title. It locks it in. No, they cannot sell the property without me because we have an agreement. So there's so many ways that you can get creative in this development space. That's why it's level 3, as you understand 1, 2, and then you jump to level 3. That's where the big money is made. And I call this role a land artist because you get to create what you want to create. It's not like you're working with the lot. You have to build a certain product. You get to make that community. As long as you're focused on what product sells well and what's happening in the area and it's a good location, it's going to be a profitable deal. Any thoughts on that last one?
No? Yeah.
All right, guys. I love keeping this chat active. If you guys can, if you're a 0, put it in the chat that maybe you're in the game, you're a wholesaler, agent, loan officer, business owner, but you're not actively finding deals. Put a 1 in the chat if you're a deal finder. Put a 2 in the chat if you're a fix and flipper, you're a builder, a contractor, or you hire somebody to do those projects for you and you're getting loans and going through it. 3 if you're creating full-on communities. If you're a 1, 2, and 3, you can put all 3 or just a 3. I'd love to see who we have on this call and who is in the chat. Let's see here, lots of 0s. We've got some 1s as well. We've got a little bit of 2s. There you go. And then we've got a couple 3s. Usually I see that there's more of the 0s, some 1s, some 2s, and then a little bit of 3s. I love that. We've got a little bit of everybody here. This is awesome. The 7-step framework is for everybody. I'm telling you, you could be a builder, but you have no system. Oh, what did your project cost? I don't know. Okay, how do you know you made money? Well, I put in X amount and I got X amount out. Okay, well, what was your cost breakdown on lending? How about construction? How about, I don't know. So some people in the game also need the same framework. It's really important just to have that framework that allows you to scale. The only reason we were able to scale to over 200 doors in the last 6 years is through that system.
So here's how we would transition into development if that's what you wanted to do. That That's the question we get the most often. Phase one, you want to build your team. That's going to be, that looks like finding a lender, a builder that can build your project at a cost plus basis, and an agent that can find you deals off market usually, and you can offer them a list back. In other words, they're more motivated to find you deals. Usually this is like really just networking. In real estate, it's not about what you know, it's about who you know. So if you network, coffee meetings, real estate meetups, you'll be able to start building your team. Depending on what you're willing to invest time-wise into this might take you 5 to 10 hours a week. This could be the first few months of your actual team building process.
Awesome.
Phase two?
Phase two is going to be market research. So now you're going to start ghost underwriting deals. What does that mean? You're going to kind of understand the process. You're going to start getting deal flow. You're going to say, well, even if maybe it doesn't fit what you want to do, like build a duplex or build a house, you still want to underwrite the deal. You want to make sure it pencils. You want to lock it in and say, okay, this does make sense. I'm underwriting 10 to 20 deals, because now when the real deal comes up that makes sense for you, you already know that's the right deal. Then once that deal comes, you're making those offers, you jump to stage number 3 or phase number 3.
And phase number 3 is when you execute. This is when you actually hire the people that you've met, the network that you've built, and you oversee them. You start to get bids, you start to sign the contracts, review the scope of work, and actually build out the deal. Depending on your permitting timeline, this could be anywhere from 3 months all the way up to 12. The fastest we've ever built a duplex was 3.5 months.
And a fourplex in 3 months and 3 weeks.
3 weeks, yeah. We actually even shared those schedules on how we did that. And then step 4 is scale if you wanted to. At that point, you can have 3 to 5 concurrent projects at the same exact time. You can bring on investors. Typically, that looks like a 50-50 profit split at the end. You can be either in one LLC together, or you could do multiple joint ventures.
The beautiful thing about scale is, I always say you can have 4 to 5 projects at once. That doesn't mean you're building 4 to 5 units. If you do a 4 to 6 plex per project, average 5 projects, 5 units, you're doing 25 doors a year. So that's the game that we love to play. We love to have 5 to 10 projects. One project could be a 30 unit project. One could be a 4plex. And that allows us to scale without having to have 30 projects, and it's going to become overwhelming. And so that's where you can continue to build, scale, and increase profit and create those partnerships where maybe you have a bigger down payment, you have a split when it comes to that, but you're not squeezing your time. You're actually leveraging it, making more money without trading time for money. All right, guys, so we have our Buildup community. Our community is, I see a lot of people saying, I'm from here, I'm from there. I know we asked, where are you from? This is a great place to network, connect. We've got agents, developers, wholesalers, loan officers, investors, business owners, all in there collaborating. 26,000 people. It's been amazing to see this community grow. Sometimes we'll come and we'll speak for free at different events. We'll fly into other areas, like we flew into North Carolina. We were in Oregon and Washington and Florida, and we just do a regular meetup, hangout. We'll actually tour a project we have going. That one of them right there is a house in North Carolina, and we'll just walk through the house, share the numbers, share what we're doing. And so Buildup community is an amazing place to connect with people. That's part of our network, Buildup. I'll share where that name came from and how it originated. Before we do that, and before we jump into the 7-step framework, which is now the next one, I want to share with you guys how important this framework is, and people taking the framework and actually running with it and taking action. So I've got 3 different people here, 3 different clients from the Buildup community. They're doing 19 doors combined. Avery, he's in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. He's got a duplex. Kato, she's a real estate agent, and she did not have any build experience, and now she is doing over 11 doors with between 3 projects, and she was actually featured in the Business Journal in Portland. I've got Luke here from Dallas, Texas. He is doing deals without any of his own money, partnering with the Buildup community. So that's been really exciting, and we'll break down each real quick.
So Avery, 0 construction experience. He works in the commercial elevator industry. He was 1 month in, secured his lot, lined up his contractor. Right now, he's working with a permit expediter in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, to push his project along to the approval. His projected profit on his first duplex is $250,000.
The really cool thing is he was supposed to put 230 grand down, and because of the Buildup community, he was able to use one of our partner lenders and bring down 130K instead of that other number. So instead of bringing a partner on and splitting profit, he actually gets to keep all the profit for himself. Then we've got Kato and Amika. I mentioned them earlier. Licensed agents, no development experience. They also raised the capital. They didn't have the capital to do all the projects. So they raised capital. They also leveraged credit cards. And now they're doing a 1-4plex without any of their money. That one specifically is doing $380,000 of profit. And then they have 2 more projects that are in the pipeline in permitting. And then lastly, because they're agents, they also get a double dip. So when they list the properties for sale, they're going to get paid an extra $45,000 on commission on top of their half of the profit.
Luke, project management background. Right now, he raised capital inside of the Buildup community, and absolutely incredible. He's following more of my business model, no cash in, but he's doing all of the work, putting together the permits, managing the schedule, doing all of it. He's less than 12 months in. He has 6 projects, only 23 years old, and he has over $400,000 of profit estimated from his side.
And guys, what I want to say with this, most important, is if Ruben did it being in debt, I did it being scared for 4 years to take the risk, and now our Buildup clients are doing it as well. You guys can absolutely do it. I wanted to set this up as we're going to now break down the meat and the bones. I want you guys to understand the perspective of this is absolutely possible. With these 3, they have 19 doors. The beautiful thing is 267 additional doors by our students alone. So imagine 286? 286 doors out of 511. Our mission is to get 511 homes built with our Buildup community. Again, we'll jump into that in a little bit. And let's jump into the meat and the bones.
So before we get into any of the 7 steps, this is the most important rule that you need to understand. Start from your profit. What do I mean by that? You need to aim for a 25% ROI. Depending on your market, sometimes it can be 20%, but at the end of the day, you need to start and make sure that the profit makes sense before you go any deeper. What does this look like? Well, you have your final sales price. You know that your construction, your construction cost. We're going to give you that. It's an average of $150 per square foot. And your land price is attached to the sales price, typically 20 to 25% also. Both the same number, but they're two different, they serve 2 different purposes. 25% ROI and 25% of the final sales price is the maximum you can pay for the land. Doesn't mean you should pay that for the land, but it's the maximum that you can pay. If those numbers roughly check out, like a quick napkin math, then you can proceed forward.
Awesome. So with this rule, so 20% to 25, you see 20 and 25. My thought process and the way that I operate on deals is the 20%, it's the rule of 20. That's what we live by. Rule of 20, personal house game. I'll usually push to a margin of 20. If it's the investment game, I stick to minimum 25%. This allows a cushion. This allows a safety net. A lot of people think about the return on their down payment. That's a massive mistake. If you think, oh, well, I'm going to put 40,000 and I make 20 profit, 20,000 profit. I'm literally taking 40, turning it to 60. That's the wrong math. The math you should live and breathe is the actual return on the project. That's like the lifeblood. That's the gasoline to the engine. That is the most important thing. Agreed?
Agreed.
If you look at the ROI, the cash on cash, the down payment growth is just a bonus. Why? Because if you have a 10% margin, the market corrects 10%, the market corrects 15%. If you had a 10% margin, market corrects 15%, where's your cash on cash? It's gone, you're negative 5%. This is the rule that we've breathed, and even with interest rates jumping to 8%, we were still able to sell projects, make a profit. On some, we had to just sell them, move on, continue to the next deal. If we were thinking cash on cash, we would have lost a lot of money on a lot of projects, and it gives you room for error. If, for example, you have to extend the loan and you weren't expecting it, there's room there versus 10%, it's marginal. So again, on this one here, 2,200 square foot house, 4-bed, 2.5 bath, 2-car garage. That's roughly the construction budget for that, and the builder fee would be $378,000. For those on builder fee, the way that the builder fee works across the entire nation, our students are building 286 doors, roughly $150 per square foot in Washington and Oregon. California is $175 per square foot. This is hard and soft costs, so permit fees, engineering, architecture, and the actual build cost. Texas is about $100 a square foot, up to $125. Georgia, 130, 140. Chicago area, 140, 150. St. John, Indiana, my student just built really nice houses for 160. Florida, 120 to 180, depending on the type of home and how close you are towards the water and the beach. And then if you're adding a pool, things like that. But across the nation, it's 100 to 150-ish dollars a square foot. In the really expensive areas, might be 160, 175. This is builder grade construction. I'm not talking custom. This is not floating staircases, but a nice spec home that's builder grade. So you're not doing anything crazy on the finishes. Of course, that number will go higher if you do something nicer, but the values should follow. So if in an area where there's nicer homes, you could build something nicer as long as you have the 25% margin. The ROI, return on investment, is the one main factor that I will never break. It's a rule that I'll never break. I might pay a little bit more for land if the ROI is 25%. I might build a little bit of a nicer product if the ROI is 25%. Are you guys following me here? Is this something valuable? Put a 7 in the chat if you're seeing it. It makes sense. You got it. So far, so good. Investor down payment on this one would be $76,000 down at 147% return. That's a good return. A primary home down payment or primary down payment would be $39,000 down. So we're going to break down the cash on cash. I wanted to set this in play. ROI is most important. Most people freak out about the cash on cash and they're like, I want to do development because the cash on cash is so good. It's only so good if this number is here. Okay, go ahead, Ruben.
Okay, so what is cash on cash and how does it relate to ROI? Well, ROI is based on the total cost of the project. So not many of us have the ability to, for example, on that previous slide, $565,000 cash to put into a deal and our money grows at a rate of 20-25%. It's too much money to dish out to be able to get the project done. So what do? We get a loan. So our requirement is $76,000 down. That's 10% plus 3.5% for closing costs. Our goal is, hey, we have to put $76,000 down. The lender brings the rest of the money and our profit stays the same, $143,000. So where does this 193% number come from? 147 divided by 76,000 gets us a return of 193%. Our money that actually left our bank account is what is the actual return that we're receiving. So although ROI is more important than cash on cash for the safety of the deal to make sure that it actually makes money and there's margin, cash on cash is what we actually experience. We put out 76,000 and we receive back 147 plus 76. That's the rate of return on our actual money.
So total project cost, $565, is land and build. The lender says 10% of that is what you have to bring to the table, which is $56,550 technically. Then there's some closing costs, lender fees, title fees, which is going to equate to that 76 rather than 56. So you're bringing in 76,000. The net profit of 147, keep in mind that's after the agent fees and after the title fees. So the profit is sale price minus the build costs and land. You might be like, well, the number is bigger than 147. Well, you've got to pay the real estate agents their 5%, plus you got to pay all the title fees and any holding costs. You'll net 147. This is based on our experience of building our 200 doors. That's the number that you would net. And so you guys can get an understanding of what those numbers look like and then your return. From the real estate perspective, comparison S&P 500, let's say you're at usually, let's average 10%. Rental properties are 8 to 15% return. And then developments are 25, 26% on the equity, so the ROI side. But what I love about development is you get a leverage. So like 26%, yes, it's good. Development, it's maybe a little bit different than parking your money into rentals, which you just collect a check. Development's more active. Not only is it more active and 26% return on the total project, but now you have the leverage of a down payment. So now it's even more attractive. And so that's why I love this game. As long as you can keep the rule 25 for investments, your cash on cash is going to look phenomenal. You can put more money down. You don't always have to do it 10%. A lot of times I'll just buy the land for cash and then get a loan for the construction just because I like to do that, less leverage. So now we're going to jump into the personal house game. Both Ruben and I love this strategy. The reason for it is, how do I say it? It's like the best house hack in the history of house hacks. Why? Because you get to live in a house. You don't have to pay rent to somebody else. You put the same 5% down that you would go buy a house on the market, but you do it here. And instead of buying a house on the market and let's say being negative equity, what does that mean? You buy a house for 500,000. Well, if you go resell it for 500, by the time you pay agent fees, by the time you paid your loan fees, by the time you paid your closing costs, you're losing 30 grand. So really buying a house for 500,000 on the market, you get back 470 if you sell it tomorrow, right? Here, you go build a house, it's going to cost you 400,000, not 5. With all the fees and everything, 425,000. You're sleeping on 75,000 of equity day one if you did it okay. If you do it correctly, you're on 100 to 150,000 of equity. That's the first bucket. So you're putting down the same down payment as going and buying yourself a house. The second bucket is you make 250,000 of profit and it's tax exempt. Guys, tax free, tax exempt. It doesn't have to go into a special account and then you have to go use it to buy real estate. No, you get the wire in your account because it's your personal house. You lived in it for 2 years. It was your primary residence. Check mark, you're good. Keep the 250,000 up to that number. If you're married and you make 500,000, as long as you file your taxes together, great, you get to keep that. If you guys want to fact check, go to topic 701 of the IRS or topic section 121 and read that for yourself on the actual IRS website. You're going to see that it works. You might say, well, I could do this with any real estate. False. You can't go buy a house and it's going to appreciate 200 grand in 2 years. Show me where you can do that. It's very rare. But you can go build a house and force the 200,000 or 100,000 because you've built it for less than what it's worth. So now you've captured that and then you can go sell it and take that profit after 2 years. And then the cash on cash is 2 to 3 times a person or an investment loan. Because you're putting less money, it's the same profit. So the same number of 147 we've been talking about, we'll show you guys again. But your down payment's just less. You don't have to bring 76 to the table. Go ahead, Ruben. So the cash on cash, same profit, same project, same cost, just a different down payment.
So because the down payment is less, you're putting out less money, less down payment, the cash on cash return is much higher. So that's why Arthur and I are such a big fan of the personal house game. And we love to try to do at least one personal house every 2 years. Because the requirement is that you have to live there 2 years out of the last 5. Our goal is to build at least one personal house every 2 years if we can, and you're able to get absolutely incredible returns. Sure, this is based on your tax returns. You have to bring your W-2 pay stubs, but it is absolutely worth it. It is like a standard mortgage. It's a 31-year mortgage, 30 years for the actual mortgage, 1 year to build the house, interest only.
In other words, if you're pre-approved to buy a house, don't go build one. Go ahead.
If you're pre-approved to buy a house, don't buy one. Go and build one. Yes. Yeah.
All right. You're gonna go ahead. Cover the cash on cash. I covered the
I
investment.
did the cash on cash. I covered it.
And then the 2 years, all that, we got it.
Yep.
Perfect.
Yep.
Okay. So this game, the reason 5% down, as Ruben said, W-2 income, you're essentially saying I can actually afford the payments. For the investment side, they don't care about your personal income. They don't actually check your income. They don't check if you can pay the payments or not. They specifically look if it's a profitable deal and what numbers you're projecting are actually valid and true. That's why I like the investment game too. I could have literally $0 of income every month and I can just have 500,000 in the bank and I can go build investment projects. They don't look at your income. All right. We are finally here. Sorry guys, we had so much framework I wanted to cover. There's formulas I wanted to cover. There's the entire process I wanted to make sure you guys understood of how everything works in the ecosystem. Why? Because now when we covered the 7 steps, it's going to resonate more, it's going to stick, and it's going to make sense when we go through the process. So I'm going to keep you guys really active in the chat. I know I've said it many times, but now we are finally here. Comment 7 if you're excited for the entire 7-step process. Remember, as you take notes, just take the main things that highlight or resonate for you. Take those notes, the gold nuggets, and let's jump into it.
Awesome. Step number 1 is finding the lot. Can't build if you don't have the land. Here are your options for finding the lot. Number 1, just on the market, the MLS, anything that's listed on the open market, it's very competitive. We like to compare it to used car shopping. Arthur has a great story he can tell about when he wanted to buy a Ford F-150.
Do I say it now or later?
Okay, go ahead.
All right. So I'm from the auto industry. That was my original, what I was doing. And so I always compare the auto when I come to real estate. On the auto side, what happens when you want to buy a Ford F-150? I want to buy a Ford F-150. I'm now building real estate. I don't want to go and try to find deals and go fix it myself, so I'm just going to go to Facebook Marketplace. What happens? A truck is worth $20,000. So you see 20, 20, 20, 20. You're going to go in and offer 19, 18, sure. They might say no. But then one pops up, the same model, the same miles, everything that you wanted for 15. What do you do right away? Hey, is this available? I can come meet you right now. I'm ready to buy it. You finally get their number or you call them. Let's say it's on Craigslist or wherever. I don't even know if Craigslist is a thing, Facebook Marketplace. You give them a call. What do they say? Yeah, sure, come by, pick it up. No. They say, hey, you're the 10th person that called me. I already have 7 in line, 3 are on the way. They have money on the table. They even said they'd pay me a little bit more. They'd give me 16 or 17. Because the market's 20, they posted it at 15. That's exactly how the MLS is. If a good deal is posted, it's going to be multiple offers. Everybody's going to be fighting for it. It's going to be a brawl until finally somebody comes to a price that makes sense. That's why we love the off-market game, and that's why we do over 75% of our deals off-market. Off-market is directly to the seller. It's me and the property owner. We're both talking. We can negotiate. On the MLS, quick close, 10 days, 20 days, all cash. Off-market, guys, most of what we do is off-market. Usually I'm signing a contract for about 4 months. Not 2 weeks, not 3 weeks, 4 months. Why? It gives me time to do my feasibility, verify it's buildable, get my plans designed and approved. Then I close with my construction loan. That is the reason I love the off-market game. So go ahead, keep going.
So off-market is where we primarily buy almost all of our deals, literally almost all of our deals. And that's where the most of our actual high profit deals come from, because we're able to negotiate terms that are favorable to us. We can actually get better lending if we have building permits approved. You can't really do that if you're closing in 10 days, all cash, for example. We have bought deals off the MLS cash if it was really that good, but for the most part, off market is where most developers, most builders actually buy their land. Guys, remember, the money is in the buy. I know you've heard it before and you hear these different sayings in real estate, but this is really true because we learned the hard way. Sometimes you can pay over asking, you can build the deal, and you didn't even realize that you already lost money on the very first day, but you're only selling 6 months in because you overpaid for the land. So it's very important that you need to get a good deal on the land, and we'll show exactly how we make sure that it is a good deal in step number 2.
Step number 2 is going to be running the numbers. So the basic formula that we work with, which you've already saw previously on cash and total cost, ROI, is you've got the sale price, you take away the construction and the land, that equals your gross profit. Obviously you have agent fees and title fees. So reverse engineering, you start from what is the home worth, what's my construction cost, that determines what you should pay for the land based on a 20 to 25% return on investment. If you're not hitting that number, what number adjusts? The land. I'll ask you guys a question. If a duplex sells, or a single family, let's call it duplex. If a duplex sells for $900,000 in a market, $900K, and it's going to cost you $600,000 to build. Okay, 900, 600, and land is worth $100K in that market, let's say, or it's 500 would be a real number. So 900K it's worth, 500,000 to build, and 200,000 for the land. You have 200K of profit. Can you get a duplex to sell instead of 900 for 1.2 million?
No.
No. So you can't get a 30, 40% increase on the sale price. That's like I'm trying to win the lottery. Can you get the build cost? I'll ask the builder. Can you get the build cost from 500,000 to 250?
No.
Maybe you'll shave off 10, 20, 30K, but you're not going to shave off 250. Can you get the land cost? Let's say that they want 300K. Can you get the land cost to 200K, to 150, 175, 100? Can you shave land costs by a big margin?
No.
Yes, you can. Land, you're not paying attention.
Sorry.
Yes. Why? Land is the only place that you can actually get the property for 50 cents on the dollar. Land. You could have 2 duplexes right next to each other. Both of them sell for 900. Both of them roughly cost 500. One guy paid 300K for it, and one guy paid 150. Who made the money? The guy that paid less for the land. It's literally a formula. I want you guys to understand this. I obsess over making sure I get the best deal on the land because it lets the entire project coast. I could build it for a little bit more. It could sell for a little bit less. I'm still going to hit my 20 to 25% margin because I understood the money is in the land, nothing else. All right.
So, for example, we can come into any market. And since we know that there is really only three things here, three variables here, if we know the actual, the final sales price, which that's basically public information on Zillow, on Redfin. If we roughly know the construction cost and we know what land is selling for, does the deal calculate out? Process of elimination. Is there a 20% margin? Yes or no? If there isn't, one of these numbers has to adjust. Sales price can't. Like Arthur said, construction price can't. Land price can. And you can literally just reverse engineer, process of elimination, figure out exactly where the numbers need to be at. And that's how you can underwrite any deal. So in the comments, I want you to write, what four things do you need? Sales price, really important. Construction cost, land price, and your minimum ROI. If you have those four, that's what matters to be able to underwrite a deal. I saw people asking, how do I underwrite a deal? This is how you underwrite a deal.
And guys, if you have questions in the chat, we will have the Q&A in the end. We're going to continue this, but in the end, we'll answer all your questions. All right. Step number 3 is plans and design. Don't reinvent the wheel. Don't try to do something new or cool. Would you rather say, hey, I'm going to take a gamble and build a 4-story building where all of the houses are duplexes or all the product is duplexes and hope I make money? Or would you rather say, hey, there's 4 duplexes that all sold for this number. I know my construction is this number. I'm pretty much confident I will get 20 to 25%, 150K profit on this duplex if I do this strategy. If it's me, I'm doing that. Even to date, after building over 200 doors, I still build what's happening in the area. Where do I start to tweak a little bit and change things up is plans and design. I try to build a little bit of a cooler product, a little bit more unique. It's still a duplex, it's still a 3-bed, it's still a 2.5 bath, but I might have a beautiful Portola bathroom. I may have a different elevation that has different tones and siding and patterns and colors. I might add some stone. So I do those little things that don't kill the budget, but I'm not going to do a triangle-shaped house because I want to try something new. I'm going to do what is selling. Don't reinvent it. Prove what already sells. 2, you don't need an architect. Usually an architect is really expensive and they kind of go over, meaning they over-design the plan. It's going to cost more than it should. Instead, hire a drafter. A drafter is somebody that follows the building code, drafts up your plans, and then the engineer, the structural engineer, actually stamps to make sure that the house won't fall over. Why is a drafter good? Most spec builders, most developers actually use drafters for anything from 1 to 4 units. So a house up to a 4-plex, you don't have to have a licensed architect. It's not actually required in most cities, most states. So we use drafters. I'm paying 75 cents per square foot up to $1.25. Architect is $2 to $20 a square foot. I had a build-up client come in. They're like, I'm designing a 6-plex. They're charging me 50 grand for this because they're charging me like 3% of the construction or 4%. I said, that's why I don't like architects. You can go renegotiate and agree to a one set price of $1 per square foot or $2 per square foot, and then you can pay them hourly for construction management. The reason they do that is they say, well, we have to manage the whole project with you. Well, if you need to manage the whole project, then you did a bad job on the plans. And so anyways, they renegotiated, they got to a set price plus hourly for construction management. I said, you don't need to use them. The builder understands how the plans work. They understand how to build a good product. So you're just going to pay them their $1.50 or $2 per square foot, and then your builder will help you execute on the build. So drafter versus architect, this is a way for you to just save an extra $2,000 to $4,000 right off the bat. And drafters are usually working with spec builders, so they're going to build a much more efficient product, which is going to end up actually costing you less.
Yep. In most states, you do not need a licensed architect with a stamp to draw your plans. You might need a structural engineer with a stamp. We usually pay anywhere from $2,000 to $3,000 for residential structural engineering. They'll size the beams, they'll put shear walls in place, things like that. but you do not need a licensed architect with a stamp. It is not required.
Okay, so analyze what product moves the fastest and why. When it comes to plans and design, I look at what's selling, what area, what makes a product sell a little bit faster, and then I add my touch to it or my design to it. And again, in this stage, you're just a coordinator. You're bringing the right people in, you're choosing the right product, and then you let them execute and create that. And the drafter will also, which is going to be step number 4, he's going to come in and do the permitting for you, get it all approved for you. It's not going to take you as fast as you want if you don't do the first stage of adult babysitting. When it comes to building, a lot of it is truly babysitting adults. It sounds crazy, but it's true. If there's contractors in the chat, I'm sure they can relate that you're always checking in. Hey, did you do this? Hey, did you do that? Are you going to hit your date? Are you going to do this? When it comes to this and getting plans approved, the way we usually beat the average timeline within our city or county. So if somebody says, hey, I get permits in 4 months, I know I can get permits in 3 months in that city or county. Why? 1, I push the drafter, he gets it ready. I push him to get it submitted. When he submits it to the online portal or to email, depending if they're old school or new school, I then reach out to the city or county. Hey, my drafter said they submitted the plans for address 123 Main Street. Did you get those plans? This is already the first step of babysitting. What happens? The city's going to respond 2 ways. Yes, I got them, or what are you talking about? If they say, what are you talking about? You just saved yourself some time, because you could just be sitting and waiting 3 months hoping the plans are approved when the drafter totally forgot to submit. They say, no, I forward that email, or I let them know, hey, they have not received it. Please submit it. Let me know when you do it. Oh, I'm so sorry. I was all uploaded. I forgot to hit send. Great. Once they do that, I reach out to the city again or county. Then when they respond with, yes, we received it, I'm not done. I say, hey, thank you so much for responding. Can you give me your target review date? What am I doing? I'm setting milestones and making sure everybody does their job as the babysitter and kind of that CEO, overseeing and getting everyone to be accountable. That's the process of getting permits. I had somebody recently in Clark County say they got permits in 5 months. We got those same permits in 6 weeks. So unfortunately, they wasted 3.5 months. That's interest, that's closing costs. If you're in contract to get the permits approved, then close, you're gonna break your contract deadline. There's so many things that can go wrong if you're just a passenger and you're not proactive when it comes to this.
Okay, step number 5 is financing. This is where you're going to actually contact the lender and put together the loan for your project. Usually, we like to contact the lender when we're almost at permit approval. So sometimes, depending on your area, if you're submitting permits and you know that permits take roughly 6 weeks based on previous experience working with these different drafters, asking them, then we'll start the loan process. Ultimately, the lender is your silent partner in this deal. They bring 80 to 90% of the actual capital required to build out and complete the project. So it's very important to select the right type of lender. The first thing that we notice often that most new beginners make this mistake. They get a lender that charges them interest on the full amount of the construction day one. That is not what you want. You need a construction loan that is treated more like a line of credit. So as you draw $50,000, you pay interest on $50,000, not the total cost of $550 like we talked about earlier. This lowers your average interest rate to 5 to 7% over the entire course of the total project. So if you could imagine, as you draw the construction budget, the total amount goes higher and higher and higher and higher, and you get charged interest on that total amount for that month. This lowers the interest rate, and this saves you a lot of money across the entire deal. Now, down payments. For the personal house game that we talked about, typically this is based on your W-2, your tax returns. If you're a business owner, it's 2 years tax returns. Or sometimes you can even get a bank statement loan. Those are more rare for construction, but they're out there. Those are anywhere from 5% down up to 10% down. Usually you're going to have to hire a builder at a 10% cost plus fee to meet the experience requirement if you don't have the experience. For the investment side, 10 to 15% down is very standard. It's called 90% loan to cost. You don't usually need any kind of credit as long as it's not absolutely terrible. You don't need your income to be verified. You don't usually need to look at your tax returns. It's very specific to the actual deal. They'll get an appraisal of the current as-is value of the land. They'll get an appraisal based on the finished product of the actual build. What will it cost when it's finished and sold? If you meet their ratios, they will fund you, because ultimately, if the project fails, they can simply take the project and they don't lose their capital because you brought the 10 to 15% down. What you'll need for both lenders is you're going to need to bring some kind of comparables. This is what I think my house will be worth. This is the actual product that I'm building. You'll need a budget. So that per square foot price in underwriting, you need to break it down. How much will foundation cost? How much will framing cost? How much will framing lumber cost? Windows, roofing. And once you have that budget put together, your pro forma. That was all of your numbers in underwriting. The sales price, the construction cost, the actual sales price, the ROI, what you're going to pay the realtor. They're looking for that data to underwrite your deal.
And the good news is on the construction budget, your builder's the one that's going to build that out, so you don't actually have to know all of that when you're building out your project.
So the key and most important line here, leverage is only healthy. Leverage is only your best friend when the margins are healthy. We have to go back to the very beginning. If your project has a 20 to 25% ROI, then leverage makes sense. Because sometimes we see people that send us deals and they have a 100%, 50% cash on cash return, but the ROI is 5%. That deal is literally going to fail from the very beginning.
Amazing. All right, step number 6 is construction. Guys, before I jump into this, I love keeping this chat active. The Q&A is going to be very active, I already know. Put a 7 in the chat if you're loving the 7-step process so far. You learned something new, or if you already knew this, you got a different perspective on what you're learning. I love it. I'm seeing tons of 7s in the chat. That's beautiful. So, step 6 is construction. As crazy as this might sound, to me, as a developer, this is actually the easiest part of the process. Step 1 and 2 are the most important, and then from there on out, it's execution. Why construction is the easiest part of the process is because construction is so predictable. Why do I not like fix and flips? You get a property, structural issues. You open up walls, there's issues that you couldn't uncover without actually opening up the drywall.
Mold, termites,
just so many issues.
Poor framing.
With construction, you do your due diligence. You've got through the feasibility checklist. Everything checked off, looks good. Now that you're in the permit process, you're approved. You get the lending locked in. You begin building. You already have everything pre-bid out. You're not going to change your cost. It's already set in stone. You know you're building a brand new product. It's like building a new car. They already can predict exactly what it's going to cost them with the 3% error rate or 2%. So, when it comes to construction, what's my actual role? Do I have to be on site? Do I have to do everything? Do I have to adult babysit? I hire the builder at a cost plus contract. The total budget that was bid out, $400,000. We agreed to 10%, $40,000. Now the builder comes in as the active person, an active business owner, and they're going to perform on their job to make sure it gets done. You set the contracts in place. You have all the bids in your hand. You sign the builder signs subcontractor agreements and contracts with every person. And now this ship is moving forward and a product is going from land to actually being created. As a developer, what am I doing? I'm approving the finishes. I don't have to actually be a designer. I can say, hey, builder, what's the other 4 projects you built? I like that one. Can you do the same colors, finishes as that one? Can you just change these 3 things? So you don't have to be a designer. You can do what they do. I like to design my projects. Pinterest is my best friend. I work on Pinterest. I put a whole board together. I choose what I want, and then I create a beautiful product. You don't need to do that. I monitor the budget. I watch through, make sure everything is tracking per budget in my contract. If it's above the budget, there's ramifications, things like that. And then I can go to the site to walk it if I want. I don't need to. There's inspections from the city. There's inspections from the bank. And there's the builder as well getting the job done. Nothing is getting paid ahead. So the product is being built, the home is being built per the building code. And if it's not per the building code, they will not let you get to the next stage. You're not going to build a whole house and then go, oh, you failed. Oops. Every stage. Foundation. If it's not done right, you're not passing inspection to pour. Everything will be, there are layers and checks and balances to make sure you actually do it correctly as the builder. And then I have my layers and balances for my lender to make sure they're actually doing their job, plus my contracts in place. That's why I love the construction side of things. You can work 3 hours a week building projects. We have right now over 100 doors in the pipeline. And for me, it's a part-time job. I'm not working full-time. I get to do this. I get to teach you guys. I get to show you guys the game rather than being in the weeds and figuring out what's going on. Any thoughts on that?
No, and he's not even the builder, but I would agree with Arthur.
Well, okay, the builder hires a project manager, so the builder's also... No, I'm just messing.
At the end of the day, for the GC side, we don't recommend that you run a full construction business and learn the entire game in and out of the actual construction process, because ultimately the developer makes most of the profit. They have to wait the longest out of everybody. Subs get paid immediately. The GC gets paid monthly, but the developer makes a bulk of the profit for the exact reason of finding the deal and underwriting it. Sure, do you need to supervise the builder? Yes. Do you need to have quality control? Yes, but that's exactly what the 3 hours a week is for. You're not the one actually hiring the subs. You're not the one actually managing the subs. That's what the builder is for. That's what you're paying the 10% fee for.
In my opinion, now is the best time ever to get in this space. Interest rates picked up. Construction prices were high. They've dropped. Lumber has dropped to pretty close to COVID levels. The construction side, we used to build for 175, is dropping to 150, 160. Things are, even with the tariffs and all these other things, the prices are still lower than they were, and the sale prices are still there. Meaning the drop in construction versus the I would say the smoothing out of sale prices is now more profitable than it was. And guess what? In my personal opinion, I think interest rates will only get lower. So that means that if you build today, you live in it for a few years, or even if you just sell, but if you live in it for a few years and rates start to drop, you now created even more equity, because what happens when interest rates go down? Prices go up. So it's a beautiful space to be in. One of our duplexes, we built it for $146 per square foot. That same duplex I built for $174 a square foot a couple years back. So I can see where prices are going, where markets are at, and it's becoming, in my opinion, it's healthier when there's not a straight shoot up, straight shoot down. It's kind of, it went crazy COVID, kind of settled, and now we're here. And if you don't build the right product for the right area, you're not going to make a profit. I like this kind of market because now the good developers are making the money, not everybody. All right, step number 7, you've got 3 different paths or an option where it's hybrid. Path number 1, you sell the house for an immediate profit. Please don't just use any agent. Utilize a new construction agent. Why? They understand the game. They understand how to sell the house. They have a clientele and a buyer pool. Just having your uncle or aunt or friend or cousin list a property for sale because they passed a test may actually hurt you, not get you more money. I listed with a specialized agent. I actually ended up getting $40,000 above the asking price that I was expecting because they understood it. They said, stage the home. We're going to list it at this price. We have a couple of different strategies. And then we got multiple offers and it became a bidding war. And I ended up getting that extra money on top because I hired experience. Keep that in mind. That's really important. But you could just sell it for a profit. Build it, sell it, you're out. You can use the 90% loan to cost, 10% down. Option 2, you can hold it for rent. Build it, hold it for rent, create a cash flow. And if you're in the real estate space, you have the beautiful advantage of cost segregation, which allows you to reduce that tax bill and force that depreciation. If not, you still get cash flow and you still get standard depreciation. Option number 3, which would be plan C, you take advantage of the personal house game. Put 5% down, live in it, enjoy it for at least 2 years. If you don't live in there for 2 years and you sell it in a year, you just don't get the advantage of tax-free profit. But you can still sell it. There is no limitation. So if you want to pay the capital gains, live in it for 6 months, sell it, go for it. But you live in it for 2 years, take advantage of the tax-free profit, and now you got yourself a new nest egg of money. That's actually what I did. And then I went and invested into more projects and built my other personal house. So I got to do both, plus leverage investors and build projects with them. And then this is where I'm at now. You get to have this beautiful hybrid model where you build some to keep, you build some to sell, you reduce your capital. Like you could do 10 units, keep 3, sell 7, pull out most of your capital, refinance it like the Burr method, but the burn method, usually you have 10, 15% equity. You have 30% of equity, no cash in the deal, and it's cash flowing, and you get the tax advantage. This is a developer's dream. I love this strategy here. But the beautiful thing is, if plan A doesn't work, you have plan B, you have plan C, you have the plan hybrid. And if you want to be active, you have the Airbnb, short-term rental, nurses, month-to-month rent. You have so many beautiful strategies. The big key here is if you have that 20 to 25% margin, you've got yourself some room.
Okay, so this is the complete system that you need to be able to get into the development game. Everything from finding a lot to underwriting the deal to make sure that it actually makes sense. Once those two make sense, you have your comparables, you know what you're going to build, you even know the finishes that you're going to build because you looked at comparables and you're trying to mimic or replicate what's already been built, aka comparables. Then you now know what to design, you know what plans to draw up. Once you have the plans drawn up, you can move forward to the approval process to actually get the stamp so that you can actually break ground on the project. Financing, typically for an investment loan, 10 to 15% down. For the personal house strategy, usually 5% down, 2% closing costs. Total 7% down payment. Construction cost is mostly managing the builder, and the builder is managing either a project manager and the subcontractors or directly with the subcontractors. Lastly, you have those 3 strategies to exit the property with the hybrid option.
All right, before we jump into the live Q&A, I want to share about the Buildup Challenge. I mentioned 511 homes. In 2026, we decided to launch the Buildup Challenge. What is it? We're consulting the Buildup group and the Buildup community and pushing them to build 511 homes alongside us. Where does 511 come from? It's actually from the Bible verse, 1 Thessalonians 5:11, which calls us to build one another up. So we believe in one, building each other up in real estate, building each other up in relationships. This game is relationship driven. It's both business and family. And then just building a legacy for our families to come. I'm not a huge fan of the large corporate companies. I'm a fan of small business owners, us as a community, making a big movement happen. And to choose the 511 number was a pretty big stretch. When we started in January, we thought, man, 511, that's going to be a pretty hard number to push. We might even need to include our doors in the 511. We have 114 doors. And fast forward, long story short, 286 doors to date is phenomenal. We're so proud of what is happening in the Buildup Challenge. And this is kind of that extra push, pushing people into the game. I would say average, some people are doing 11 units. I have Richard Bruce in Mississippi doing 25 doors. And then I have some people building one personal house. But the beautiful thing is what we do in the 7-step is working. People are doing it both with and without the real estate experience. A few more non-construction backgrounds. Nick, he's an insurance broker, 41K down, 160K profit. He actually already sold his house. Done, money's in the bank account, 390% return on his down payment. Telling you guys, Nick's doing it, you could do it. And now he bought his next personal house and he's going to be building a beautiful home. Andrew, he's got himself 3 luxury specs in Houston, Texas. He's not leveraging other people's money. He's leveraging 0% interest credit cards. A little bit more of a leverage game. I told him, hey, do 1. He's like, no, I'm doing 3. And so he has around 160,000 in other people's money per deal. And then he's going to be at roughly $1 million of profit or more. Armando, he's a logistics broker, and he's doing a $1.5 million spec home, 127,000 down, 270,000 profit. Because of this project, he's now transitioning. He wants to become a full-time GC. Why? He actually really enjoys the general contracting side of things, and instead of being an insurance or a logistics broker and selling freight, he would rather actually build homes for himself and for others, plus invest into real estate as a developer.
Raina is a really good example of someone with no construction experience whatsoever. She was getting quotes in the $400 price per square foot range to build her house. We told her easily we can get you at least to 200, 220. She wanted a nicer house, nicer finishes. We helped her get her actual GC license, get connected to subcontractors. And right now, she has already finished the tile in the home. She's already laid the hardwood. Cabinets are being installed right now. She's on track to finish her project in only 4.5 months. She started her own YouTube channel. You can look her up. She's showing her entire process.
It's going to be what? Reina_Westberg. So if you want to follow her journey of her building her own house. I know some of you might say like, well, do I need to hire a builder? No, you can actually build your own house. Some areas you have to get a contractor license. Other areas like Texas, you don't have to be a licensed contractor. You can build as an owner builder. So that's Reina for you. She has her own channel as well. And she's absolutely crushing it. And she realized this is a lot easier to build than she thought. And she's coming in at roughly $180 per square foot. So she's creating over $400,000 of equity on her home.
Jake is a really good example. We hired him to do our social media, to actually record the videos of us building. And right now he is in installation. He is in installation on his project. You could also, I mean, he only put down $43,000 and he's building a $1 million home. He's doing the exact strategy that we call the personal house game. He's gonna have over $100,000 of equity in his project. There's his Instagram handle. Go ahead, follow him.
I am Prince _. The cool thing is when he came on board, we started recording Reels content, and he's like, man, I'm inspired. I want to do this myself. So we said, okay, here, follow these steps. He started following the steps, got back feedback, said, here's your entire strategy for the next year for you to be building your house within the next 12 months. And now he's in construction, building a beautiful home. And he's leveraging and house hacking where he's going to live in the ADU and rent out the first floor. So his payment of $4,500, he's only going to actually have a $1,500 payment that he's paying. His renters are going to be covering majority of his mortgage, but his appreciation is going to continue on that $1 million home for both units, the house and the ADU. And because it's under one roof, one tax ID, he gets to take the personal house game tax-free advantage and profit. That's his plan. He's going to live in it for the next year or two, sell it, and then scale into more doors and build himself a personal house as well. And he's got a YouTube channel as well. Same thing, I am Prince. He's posting all along the entire journey, start to finish. Because we're here local, he gets to collab with me, and we share a lot about what he's doing. So you guys can go check out his page as well. And then we have tons of others in the Buildup community that are part of this challenge, that are crushing it. It's crazy. Brandon Cabrera is building in northern Washington, and he's building a house in Mexico. So he's got connections in Mexico, and he's like, I'm going to take the same 7-step process and I'm going to go do it in Mexico. So he's actually pouring foundation. He's pouring foundation in Mexico, and he's framing in Washington. So that's been really cool. Andy's also crushing it, doing some deals. Octavius is building in Georgia. I've got Ricky, who's built 5 homes. He's sold 2 already, made a profit on those 2, has 3 more in construction and active for sale. And then David's building a personal house. He got himself 5 acres, septic approved, and building a beautiful 2,600 square foot home. So now you guys have the roadmap. You guys have the formula. We walked through the entire process, everything that you have. And me personally, my story, how many of you guys are like me when it comes to getting into the development game? Took me 4 years to pull the trigger. Can you guys imagine? I'm working a full-time job. I'm like, okay, I want to do real estate. From when I want to do real estate to I'm actually building, 4 years. In between the 4 years, Ruben gets the lot. Actually, I found the lot. And I said, hey, I don't know if I want to build it. Ruben's like, dude, let me go build that lot. So Ruben takes the lot that I found, and I was too scared. And still, I had to wait for Ruben to build and finish the house and collect a check for me to realize I should do this. And so for me, it was, I need to see the process. I need to see the proof. I was not confident. I didn't really know the numbers. I was with this developer doing massive commercial sites, everything, but I couldn't translate it to me taking on the risk and me doing it myself. I was worried about making mistakes. Then eventually I took the leap. I built the 6 houses on the side with the builder. I was not the actual builder. I quit my job, and I still made mistakes. I ended up paying over $400,000 in extension fees for those 200 doors. I built out a 12-unit project. It was a $3.6 million loan. It comes up due. I'm just finishing the build, and I still have to rent it, post it for sale, and close on it, so I need 6 months. Well, the lender put me in a tight position. He's like, oh, well, your loan is due now. You have 15 days of grace period. No one's going to refinance you in 15 days. They have to get an appraisal. They have to make sure everything works. I'm like, okay. Do you have an extension fee? I'm like, oh, crap. Yeah, your extension fee is going to be 3%. Well, 3% of $3 million is a massive number. Like, I was not expecting that at all. So massive extension fees, 20, 30, 40,000. And I had 5 or 6 projects going like this. I don't have the money for the extension fee. Okay, we're going to wrap it into the loan and give you a bigger loan. So they wrap in an extension fee that I'm paying when I sell the unit. That happened across the board of a ton of projects. Learned a massive lesson. I didn't have somebody to show me how to do that. So I had all of these different things and all of these different mistakes that I made. Ruben got himself into debt. Ruben was willing to take the risk. I don't know if you want to share anything on that, where when you were taking that risk and you had to leverage somebody else's money and go in on it.
The biggest lesson that I learned, just like Arthur, you have to plan ahead. When we used to get 12-month loans, now we have learned to get 24-month loans or 18-month loans so that we have time to finish the project, rent it out if we need to, if it's commercial, and then actually sell it as a performing asset. And so you have to be mindful of those different things so that you don't get into a bad situation just like that, and so that you don't make those costly mistakes.
And this is what brings me to, we've built the 200 something doors. We have 100 in the pipeline. We've learned to scale and leverage our time where we're not doing this full time. And that brings me to Buildup, the Buildup Challenge, what we're doing with the Buildup community, where we are now consulting people while actively building projects. We're also consulting others and teaching them the entire process, making sure they don't make the same mistakes that we made. Here's what you get if you're part of the consulting package and working alongside with us, getting your first or next project. 1, you get a personalized group chat with myself and Ruben, our cell phone, this exact cell phone I use, personal and business connected. 2, we're going to help you secure the lending. We have a partnership program where you can put 10% down. You don't need a builder on board. You don't need to have the experience on board. You get to put 10% down through the Buildup community. You can hire the builder, but they're not going to sign off on the loan. A lot of lenders will say, oh, the builder has to guarantee. No way, I'm not doing that. So you get on board with the Buildup. You get unlimited one-on-one coaching calls with our team through certified coaches that have done what I've done. One of my coaches has done 200 doors to date alongside me. You get the Buildup community, access to those building. Luke, for example, is doing 6 deals with 6 Buildup community students. I have, what is it? James and I forget his name. James is partnering with another student in Seattle.
Thomas.
They're doing 3 deals together. They're partnering. They got connected. I put them in a group chat. Said, you guys got to work together. And I do weekly Zoom calls. So you have my personal cell. We're texting all the time. And you get weekly Zoom calls with me every single week. I break down every deal that I'm doing, all the offers I'm making, how I'm finding my deals, and then I answer all of our student questions on that call. And then you have 4 additional calls every week with our coaches as well, because I want to make sure you guys are successful. And so we'll give you the guarantee, build your home guarantee. We've done 286 doors to date. We know that it works. If you follow this and do the work, you guys will be successful. If you do all the work and it doesn't happen, I'll literally write the check back for the consulting fee. So what does this look like? This is for somebody that has $50,000 of capital or access to it. You want to deploy it. You're somebody that wants to work alongside with me. You want to build real assets. You don't want to flip houses or wholesale. You want to actually scale into development, or you're already doing development, but you want to scale the company. So like my student's doing 25 doors. One of our clients, he's doing a 25 unit development. You're coachable. You're ready to act. You're actually going to listen, and you're not just going to consume content. This is not content. This is, here's what you should do. Your next 3 steps, go actually do them. It's not for you if you're somebody that wants everything done for you. You want to have, you don't have the capital to get started on that first project, and you want to just do equity where you're like, oh, I'll just give you this, like do it, and then I'll get paid in the end. Those people I've noticed do not take action. It's the done for you people, okay? What does this look like? If you're interested, you want to work alongside me, I'm going to cap it because we're setting aside time for you guys to make sure you're successful. As we continue to push towards the Buildup Challenge, we then open it up again. So if you're somebody, you want to get into this game, you want to work alongside us, we'll jump into the Q&A right after this. 1, text BUILD. You're going to have to text BUILD to a number. We're going to give it to you on the next slide. Within a few seconds, you're going to get a link. You're going to click that link, fill out this application. It's going to ask you tons of questions to make sure and understand who you are, what you're trying to accomplish. Then, if you're approved, you'll book a strategy call with our team. It's going to be a one-on-one call. We're going to walk you through a roadmap of exactly what it looks like for your first or next project, depending on if you already have the land or you don't have the land, but you're looking. It all just depends on your situation. And then step 4, you're going to hit the ground running with me. We're going to jump in on calls every week, and we're going to help you push and start building. We'll cap it out. We're going to limit this because we're not going to take on a bunch of people and it's going to create workload. We're going to just make sure it's for the right people in the right group. That's why we have this application process. If you're interested, you're ready to work alongside with us, you can text 360-233-2470. You can text BUILD to that number. So just text BUILD to the 360-233-2470 number. You're going to get that link, and then we're going to get that first time process. Also, Jake, can you take us off the screen? I want to just show you guys Thessalonians 5:11.
This is our why.
Yeah, this is the why behind everything. 1 Thessalonians 5:11. Therefore, encourage one another up and build each other up just as in fact you are doing. That is build up. That is what we're about. I remember when I was trying to get in the game for 4 years, I walked up to a fix and flipper. I said, hey, I'm trying to get in this game. Can you show me the process? And they all said no. Finally, a developer, somebody that is like level 3, gave me an internship, gave me an opportunity, and I got to learn the game, but I didn't have somebody to actually walk me through the step-by-step process. And so I then had to take a leap of faith and try it on my own. Now I'm here. I'm helping our Build Up students. We're going to crush the 511 goal, and then we're going to start building out across the entire nation. One day we'll compete with the national builders. So that's my goal. That's here, guys. We're going to jump into the Q&A. If you guys asked any questions alongside the entire masterclass, one, I'd love to just a few quick thoughts. What did you think of the masterclass? Did you learn something new? Did you get something from it? If you did, write that in the chat. And then we're going to jump into Q&A. We're going to answer every single one of your questions. And don't ask a question twice. We're going to go in order. So we're going to go first question. We'll start with, I see somebody had a Q&A. Let's see. Frank Martinez asked at 5:30. If you asked a question above him, please re-ask it, but do not ask it twice. I know we're going to get a lot of questions, and I want to sit here and answer all of them. One, but two, if we have time, I want to also underwrite some deals together live so you guys can see how my brain works, and Ruben as well. So really excited to help you guys out. If you want to be part of the Build Up Challenge, you guys text this number. I'm looking forward to working with you, alongside you. Other than that, my goal is always on this masterclass to provide as much value as possible so that you can walk away from this hour and a half and say, that was the best 90 minutes I've spent. So would love to get a little feedback, and we could jump. Yeah, let's jump. Let's put that, there you go, back up on screen. Can we go bigger? But leave the numbers so they can still see us. So maybe get us bigger. And then we're going to look at this chat. So I'll make us bigger. No, let's put the number back up, please. But we're going to make ourselves a little bit bigger. So let's do that. So,
okay, there you go.
Can you, there you go. You can move us over. It's big. All right, let's see, guys. So,
how do I get...
One sec, I want to see. So Christian said, very informative. Will said, great info or good info. Carol said, loved it. I'm not going to butcher your name. Said, amazing job. Fantastic. Great presentation, guys. I'm very grateful. Thank you, Ben. Theo said, love it. Great information with clarity. I appreciate that. And then we've got some questions. So we will jump to the questions. Please don't re-ask your question. It's going to bombard the chat. We will answer your question. I'm here.
Okay, Frank asked, how do I get lending
and I was going to say, and I'm not an AI bot or something. So we're here live. We will answer you guys' questions.
Frank said, how do I get lending as a first-time developer? All lenders I have discussed with ask for completed projects. I have great land deals, $200,000 under market value. So that answer is very simple. When you're working with us, we've built a relationship with the lender. We provide all of the training. You also have the coaches, and so Buildup specifically trusts you to complete that project. So it's not just any lender. You have to be a part of Buildup to just specifically work with our lender and not actually have that construction experience. And then we often recommend, based on your situation, not for everybody, either hire a builder, depending on your deal, your situation, and the complexity of the project. It goes into the details of your actual project. What do you charge for your services? Amir asked that at 5:30. It varies depending on your project, because we've helped people build out 8-lot subdivisions, 25-lot subdivisions. That consulting fee is a lot more than one single home. And so if you think that you would qualify and you meet that criteria, go ahead and submit that application. You don't have to go through the full process. We'll let you know if it's something that would work together with us. Question on financing. Carlos at 531. Do I stand a chance getting a loan while on a work visa? Have you seen any cases like mine? We've had multiple people come over from Canada and invest. We had one guy from Guatemala come over and actually be a part of Buildup. Move it over. You covered all the numbers are there. Okay. But they did have to find a partner in the U.S. To be able to complete the project, they had to find a partner in the U.S. to be able to actually get a deal done. Just a work visa alone was not good enough for the lender.
Carlos said thumbs up. Is this better? You guys can see us. We're here.
Kramer asked, contracts. What kind of attorneys do you need and what kind of contracts do we need? We'll give them all to you. Every single one that you need, whether it's seller finance, whether it's a flat out purchase, whether it's a long-term contract, we'll give you every single one of those.
Yeah, what also comes with that is all of our building plans, every single project we've ever built, all of our lender connections, all of our subcontract agreements, contract agreements, purchase agreements for properties, our long-term contracts, our short-term contracts. We even have sales call recordings for sales. Everything that we do for our business, we're here to help you. Why? Look at the Buildup doors, 286 doors to date. Why? Because we're giving them everything that we're doing. And that right there in itself is pushing people to begin building, keeping that 25% margin and being successful in it.
Okay, Zoom user, they didn't rename their account. Q&A. Can you do a quick run through? Let's say the land is 150,000.
Okay, 150.
Calculator. And you hope to sell for 600,000. And then whatever the build cost is. What does the average payment look like during the build? And then what does it look like after it's built? What would the mortgage look like going forward?
Okay.
And can you see these numbers well before you buy?
Absolutely. So 600,000 is the value. 25% equity means it's going to cost you 450,000. It's going to cost 450,000. The bank, personal house game?
Looks like if they said mortgage, then yeah.
You're going to have to bring down 5%. The lender is going to give you 95%. So 450,000 is the cost. 95% of that is 427,500. Okay. So easy calculators is what is called E like elephant, Z like zebra, easy calculators on the App Store. I click on that. I go to my loan calculator. I put in 427,500. And that's going to be a payment of $2,600. Then I add my insurance, which is $100. And then I add my property tax, which is $250. All right. So $2,950 per month on this. I put down on the property, 475 was the total, right? So I put down
450 is what I wrote down.
450?
Yeah.
Loan. Yeah. So I put down approximately 25,000 plus closing costs. I put 35 grand down. My payment's $3,000 a month. And my equity on this is 150,000, 25%. So imagine you're putting 35 to 40 grand down. You have $150,000 of equity or profit, and you're paying about $3,000 a month for the mortgage.
Now, if you bought the home on the market for 600.
Here's the thing that most people miss. 3K payment, yes? Well, you have to understand how a mortgage works. Half of it, this is just ballpark numbers. Half of it is interest, so you're actually paying that cost. Half of it is principal, paying down the loan balance. So every month, half of your payment is actually going towards the loan balance and it reduces it, which means you'll actually get that money back when you sell. So really, the actual cost of living in this home is $1,500 a month. The rest of it is principal that you're going to get back later when you sell. So that's what most people miss and they forget. We have 51 questions or 51, it says new things. So we're going to probably fire sell a little bit more. I wanted to really break that down a little bit for you. Anybody, Maria said anybody in New Jersey, if you want to just go to
Buildup Community.
Go to buildupcommunity.com and you'll be able to join the Buildup community. You can see everybody in there. You can say anybody from New Jersey and you can start connecting with like-minded people. That's a free group. People get to connect there and network.
Can you be your own GC while building your own or investment properties?
You can be your own GC for your own investment properties, but most hard money lenders will require a contractor license, so you want to make sure you're licensed.
How do you select the land and see it as a good deal?
Say the name. So Abdel, we'll call it Abdel. How to select land and see if it's a good deal. We just went through the 7-step process. How do you know it's a good deal? Based on sale price minus build cost minus a 25% return on investment equals the land price. So in basic terms, that same deal Ruben and I just talked about, $600,000 minus the 25%, which would be $150,000 of equity, minus a, call it 2,000 square foot house would cost you $300K. So $300,000 for the house minus a 25 or 30K builder fee. You would be at $120K for the land to make sure it's a 25% return.
Sal asked a good question. Looking at lumber prices chart, historically, it's still high. With the cost to build in Los Angeles and homes depreciating, how do I protect myself? Well, it's a really simple answer. At the end of the day, builders are not building houses to lose money. So if there are homes being built in your market, they're being sold for a profit. Otherwise, those builders are not going to be around for a very long time. And so ultimately, when you're going into a deal, the sales prices are reflecting that cost in the market, that usual profit margin. If a builder builds a house for $500,000 and wants to list it for $1.5 million, no one will buy it. That's just how the open market works. And so at the end of the day, the costs reflect these sales prices.
All right. Gerald said, how do you pay yourself when you first start out? Deal finding. So you find 3 deals. That's too much. You can't take them all on. Sell off one for 20K, sell off one for 15K, and then build this one. I've done a lot of deal finding. The biggest deal I've ever sold for a profit was $300,000 profit, meaning I got a check for $300,000. It was for a development deal. It was 60 acres. Another deal was a 20-lot permit-ready project. We assigned, Ruben and I did this one for 150K. So you can. Those are not usual. I'd say 20K is the average which you get paid per deal. You find the deal, you build a pro forma, you show the profit. I'll teach you how to build that pro forma. You show the profit that's projected, and then you increase the price by your fee to make sure there's still 25% profit. If the land is supposed to be 120, you get it for 100. You add 20K, you present it to a developer or builder, they buy it, you get paid.
Carol said, OMG, this is live.
We are live.
People never believe us. We tell them in the chat, it's live.
I was going to say, look, we're live. It's July 7. 4th of July, 250 years in America. Happy 4th.
Kay Reed said, I have 3 properties. That's awesome. I'd start by underwriting them and seeing what you can build on them.
New iPhone said, great presentation. Good job. Can we connect? It depends. I mean, if you have deal flow and you want to send me some deals, sure, I'll take a look at those if you want to put the info email. If you're going to spam me with it, I ignore all of that. It's just my deal box. So anyone that has deals they want me to look at, but you already made sure there is some margin, I'll take a look at it. If you're a builder and you want to build with us, great. You can reach out to us and connect there. But otherwise, we connect through our Buildup community, and I put all of my time and energy and attention to the Buildup community clients. And then I love doing these as well to drop value and to always be in the game.
Brendan said, I live in Canada and want to develop in Ontario. Can I do your program or is it US only? Unfortunately, the guarantee is US only. However, you guys do have a few really interesting rules, like you guys get tax-free profit after 1 year of living in the home. It's just harder to build and develop there.
But you can build in the States. I have Eugene, who's from Vancouver, Canada. He's building 2 beautiful $1.3 million homes here in the States because he does not like the Canada rules and restrictions, and he's sick and tired of it. I have another student from Canada that's building in the US doing a 4-plex. So yes, it is possible. They are part of the Buildup community and they are making it happen.
Will said, what are the ramifications of going off budget? There is a penalty to the builder fee typically. And
then there's a bonus if they build under budget. You want to have both. You don't want to just be one-sided.
Sean said he's an agent. Strongly recommend post in the community channel. How do you pick your land location? Comparables. We actually run comparables based on the deal flow that we receive.
Super simple way to do it is go to Redfin or Zillow. Maybe I'll show you guys once we go through questions. Redfin, Zillow, go to year built, minimum 2024, 2025. Try to be a few years old. And then you can see the new construction activity. Look at for sale, pending, and sold.
How much cash on hand do you need for the personal house game? Minimum $50,000.
30 to 50. For the in Dallas, like 30K.
Yeah, Dallas will do fine.
30 to 50.
However, if you do have 30 to 50, you need good tax returns or W-2 to get pre-approved to actually build. It's like a regular mortgage. If you have 100,000, it's much easier to build, and you can do an investment loan,
And
not based on your income.
You can still build with 50K down on the investment side. There's lots of markets. At the end of the day, what you want to look at is really simple. Take 50,000. What's 12 or 13% of that? So easy math, easy blank math is I have $50,000 divided by 13% equals I could build a $385,000 project. Well, that project has 100 grand of profit or equity. That means homes are selling for 485. I could build that. So if you're in your market, look at homes that sell for 450 to 500. You can do it.
Stephanie said this information was priceless. Thank you guys. Did you guys go over hard costs versus soft costs?
So soft costs are anything that's not actually at construction or building. So hard costs would be excavation, foundation, lumber, framing, HVAC, plumbing, electrical. Soft costs are going to be permit fees, architecture fees, engineering fees, sales tax. Those are soft. They're not actually something physically happening at the site. They're something that's more virtual, I guess I would say.
Somebody said this is fake, and they asked me to say their name. I will not say your name. You're not going to get me to say that.
Wait, no, I'll say it.
No, it's fine. Kanan said, are there outside lenders? I'm confused. Marcus said, if the land is worth 400,000 or more, do you fund this before you start the build and get a loan for that?
Go ahead, answer.
If the land is 400,000 or more, how do you fund this before you start the build, or you get a loan after that? You get the loan once you get the permits approved. That's the most important thing, because the lender will fund a deal that's appraised higher.
Okay.
William said, can I get your offer in writing? Yes, you can. No problem. Submit the application. You go from there.
Any problems with builders marking up material costs? No, we do cost plus contracts so the builder understands. Here's the key. There's two different types of builder. You have a spec home builder and a custom home builder. What does the custom home builder do? Oh yeah, you're looking to build a 3,000 square foot house. Oh, that's going to cost you 600,000. So not 300,000, 600,000. They're marking up all of the profit into their build cost, but they're not going to share their numbers with you. That's the wrong type of builder. We target spec home builders. Those guys will build for you at cost. They're efficient. They understand how to build a good product for the right price. They buy land themselves. They make sure they have a profit margin. That's a sophisticated investment builder. I work with those guys. We have over 250 builders across the nation that we work with. And so it's absolutely phenomenal. They know their stuff. They know what they're doing. That's why they don't mark up their costs. Go ahead, next one.
How do you find restrictions for new construction within the county? I'm kind of rural, so things like are on septic or 3 acres could be true. Makes the purchase way higher. Yes, in our land checklist, we actually underwrite that and make sure that you can do septic on your land. CT said deal breakdown. Do you want to do a live deal breakdown?
We'll get to it. I want to get through the question because there's a lot, but we can break down a deal as long as we have time.
Nicholas said, do you guys still offer the just the education package?
Yes, we do. So if you want just the education, we have that. It's different than this build-up challenge. Essentially, it's like the tools, resources, and the video training that we have.
No coaches, no group chat, no phone numbers, no nothing. Just the
educational side.
Adam said, if we work with you and your lending is lender approval guaranteed, as long as you meet the minimum requirements and you do the things required, yes, we are very confident that you will build guaranteed. Ray, how much would it cost
already answered that.
to build?
No, how much would it
cost?
cost?
Sophia said, do you guys have any connections to South Carolina? Yes,
love South Carolina. Great market.
Yep. If the plan and design and land and permits are coming before
Will M, just make sure so people know where we're at.
Okay, Will M, 5:35 p.m. So did we only get for 5 minutes?
No,
5:30.
Keep going. We're just gonna fire, guys.
If plans and design, land and permits are coming before the finance step, is that part being financed personally? No, not necessarily. It doesn't mean that step 1 through 5 takes a long time. We've been able to get to step 5 within a month if you go fast, and you usually have net 30 to pay those invoices.
I think Aiden is the name. Said, can you be your own builder and cut out a lot of the material and such to save more? Absolutely. Sophia said, well, no, I think you can. Being your own builder, you can save the fee as long as you know and you have the experience.
And cut out a lot of the materials.
Well, materials depends. If you have connections, you can buy material wholesale. As a builder, yes. I like to hire the spec builder because they've done so much volume, they already get the best pricing. Most likely, if I go to that same supplier and say, can I build or can I get a quote, my quote will be 10 to 15% higher than the builder's. But if you have the connections, you absolutely can.
The reason why I'm saying is
Sophia said that's what I did and I made 120,000.
But you have to live at least 2 years tax-free profit. The reason why I say maybe is because sometimes people end up trying to save in every area and then they lose time on the schedule, which ultimately costs interest money, and then they don't actually make profit. That's all I'm saying. Sometimes you just have to be very efficient and know what you're capable of and hire out the rest.
Ron said, I have 2 lots available to build single families as an owner builder, 1 story. What is your opinion on hard money versus construction loans? So if you're getting a traditional or conventional construction loan from a local credit union, you'll have to be backed by your finances. Hard money is not much more expensive. When you think, 7% or 9% interest rate, but it's on draw, so you're not paying the interest until you borrow it. I've done so many calculations. I've looked at the conventional side and the hard money side. For me, it's so much simpler to do hard money unless I'm keeping it. Even keeping it, I'll quickly build it, I'll put a renter in, and I'll refinance with the local credit union. That's better. We can absolutely help you out with if you have the land and you want to go through that process.
Can you qualify for a construction loan for your own property if you are unemployed but have 10 to 30% to put down?
Yes, you can do the hard money construction loan side to build and sell. If you want to move into it, you can get a hard money to build it. And then at that time of moving in, if you have the income, you can see if you qualify. If not, you sell it, still make a profit.
Kadeem Richards said, would you fly out Toronto? For what?
To watch the Toronto Raptors, maybe.
But to actually build in Toronto, probably not. We have enough work here in the United States. KL said, is there a replay? No, we don't have one.
This is live.
This is live. Anthony said, you also have to have the funds to pay out on construction so you can get the draw for what each could be. No, you don't. No.
So Anthony, the way it works is our subs send in invoices. We get those invoices. We pass the inspections. We get a bank inspector to verify it looks good. We go to the bank. We have that draw. Within 3 days, we have the money. Then we pay the subs. The new construction game is way different than fix and flips. You're not doing deposits. You're not paying ahead. Everything is paid within 30 days of completion of the work. It works absolutely great. We've done over 200 doors like that. Our first ever project, it was like that. And our projects now are just like that.
10 acres of land. I believe you raised your hand. You want to build a ranch, 2 residentials, and 0 cabin and farm. What advice would you have for me to
10
proceed?
acres of land, you want to build a ranch. First thing I want to verify, is it zoned to allow me to build 2 units? Second thing I want to verify is the setbacks. How close can I be to the property lines? What area can I build in? Third, once you verify that, you want to verify utilities. Am I doing sewer and water that's public, or am I going to have to do septic and well? Once you have all of those things locked in, you can then build a pro forma and see what the projected profit or equity would be on the deal.
If it sounds like you're building a personal residence, you would need to get a pre-approval for your construction loan amount to see what you can start with.
So the personal house game, the construction loan is called a primary residence construction to perm loan. What that is a local credit union carries it. They give you a 1 to 2 year loan to build the house, and then they convert it to a 30-year loan automatically. So you don't have to get 2 loans. It's 1 loan all wrapped in to the build and the 30-year mortgage.
Nicholas Owen said the 20% rule slide at the beginning, investor down, primary down. What's the difference? Personal house game versus hard money, 10 to 15% down. That's the only difference.
Primary equals personal house. That's what it was. That's why it's less. It was 39,000 versus 76 because you're putting 5% down instead of 10 to 12.
Mark Shroud said, please comment on the mechanics of pre-sales and how that affects the project stages. We often don't do pre-sales. It's usually too hard to predict what the home is worth. And most of the time you get a higher price when the home is finished and you can list it ready to go on the market. But some people do pre-sales. It's just sometimes it's not as worth it in my opinion. Antonio said, who buys the materials, the developer or the GE?
The GC, so it depends. I love credit card points. So I will pay for lumber, me, not the builder. I will pay for permits. I'll pay for my interior finish pack. I'll pay for anything that I can pay for, and I will get that 2.5% Chase Premier bonus because it's above 5,000. I will take those points and then I will convert it to cash and go book a beautiful vacation just off building. We've done like 8 or 9 million in the last year, 8 or 9 million in points. So I love the credit card game if I can, and there's no interest. Like they don't charge me a fee, they don't charge anything. I will do it. Otherwise, a lot of times builders will do it. If the builder is smart, he will want to charge his card on it. But you're like, hey, I'm building it. I'm paying the interest on the loan. I'd like to pay it and then get a draw from the bank. So I'll pay for permits. Card's not due for 30 days. I get my draw. I pay off my credit card. I'm good.
Gabriel said, I have a 520 credit score. Can I build a personal home with 5% or 10% down? I have a home with about $100,000 equity. Unfortunately, Gabriel, you do need a 680 credit score. One of our students inside of Buildup is actually a credit repair specialist. We could connect you with him as part of the Buildup challenge, and you could get your credit repaired, but there would be a little bit of a lead time to get that actually repaired before you could start building. Unless you brought on an investor and you did a hard money loan and it wasn't based on your credit. You could pull the equity, but again, that means credit.
Okay, we gotta go faster. A lot of questions.
What did you do to have it? So I'll just skip those comments. It's not even it's not half the first year. If you look at the amortization, correct. You do pay more interest in the first few years of mortgage.
Kate Reed, I have 3 properties, but 2 of them I have conventional loan and a DSCR loan. They both have lots that came with the building that I can build on. I just don't know how to get a loan.
Those.
So the beautiful thing is the DSCR side is great. What you can get, depending on if it's separate tax parcels, you can then get a hard money loan and build out the other project. If it's all under one parcel, you can get a subordination agreement for them to remove the land as long as the value is still there. Or option 3, you can get a hard money loan with the building and build a new product and then refinance both separately.
So what Kay Reed is talking about is he has, for example, a house and there's extra land next to it. This is very standard, very normal for infill development. What we'll do is we'll often approach the property owner, get into contract for just the land, get it permitted to build on just the land, and then we pay out the owner.
Raina said, how does your fee structure work if I already own the land? Raina, it all really varies and depends. That's the whole point in the application process. So you text build, you fill out the application. We can get a full understanding of what everything looks like, what is the land, how much is it worth, etc., to make sure we can actually move forward with the project. We're not just going to say, oh, you own land, but it's worth $2,000 and there's no new construction there. We're not going to move forward with that. So it really depends. Or if you're like, I want to do a 20-unit project and it's going to be an apartment, it's 3 stories, different structure. So if you're interested, I'd recommend you fill out the application, see if it looks good, if it's approved, and then jump on a call with my team. Let's see. Will said, do you get warranty work from the GC? Yeah, so the GC gives a 1-year warranty, and then he actually passes that 1-year warranty down to all the subcontractors, so you get a 1-year warranty from everybody. All right. Do you build solar panels on many developments? No, Ben, we don't do solar panels. It's just an upgrade.
The cost doesn't justify.
There's no ROI for it, really.
Yeah. When you run the numbers for actual ROI on solar panels, it doesn't make sense.
Aiden said, in rural areas, how do you deal with larger lots? Some places require a minimum to build, so it's hard to get a single family or multi. Everything comes down to the numbers. If a 4,000 square foot house is selling there and it profits at 25% ROI, I'll do it. Robert said, build with steel, far more consistent and predictable. Robert, I know a lot of people are into the steel framing. We have our systems in play and everything works really good. Steel's been around for a long time. It's mostly used for commercial. From the lumber side, we like it.
And
but we may try one steel project. Who knows?
Most people won't say this, but if you're framing with steel, it's very important to have a rain screen to make sure that you have an air gap. It gets way more complicated because then you can get condensation because of metal to wood, and then you get mold problems. That's why wood is just standard, and that's why metal hasn't been pushed so hard in residential.
What's up, Osman? What's up, Ruben? How you guys doing? Everything good? So far, so good? I just see you guys on the camera. I want to say what's up. Just want you guys to know Alexis, what's up? Ed is missing. He's not on camera.
Nicholas is in the shade.
It's late for some of you guys. It's probably 9. I mean, it's 6 for us. So some of you guys, it's 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock. But love it. All right, let's see. So Ray said, how much does it cost to acquire your service? Again, go through the application process and then jump on a call. If you're approved, jump on a call with my team. It's going to vary depending on what you're trying to do. Ram said, I'm
Grand Rapids.
I'm in Grand Rapids. I'm also a mortgage lender. If anyone has any questions, I would, again, recommend you go into the Buildup community, share that. Farah said, what if the builder defaults on his contract or dies to finish the build?
Or doesn't finish the build.
Or dies and doesn't finish the build. How do you deal with that issue when you've got a huge loan with the bank? The beautiful thing is you're not paying the builder ahead. If you paid them ahead and then they just vanished, you don't know where the money is, that's much more difficult. But if you're building the project and let's say it's in a halfway point, I want you guys to understand that there has not been a spec builder we could not find in any market. What do I mean by that? There's more than one spec builder where there's new construction activity. In fact, there's a lot of spec builders. So I'm not worried if a project got finished halfway. I know we'll finish it. That's a very like 0.01% chance, but I know we can still finish the project and everything will work out. There shouldn't be an issue with that at all. And when like your plumber pulls permits, when your HVAC pulls permits, like everyone's pulling permits, you know who the subs are and you have all the bids already. So you can actually move forward correctly and know who the trades are. If you're blindly building and you don't know who the builder hired, that's the different thing. We have subcontractor agreements. We have all the bids bid out. We have the actual bids to look at. Everything is transparent. All right, I'm based in New York. I want to build in Charleston, Myrtle Beach. Is it okay if I'm super familiar with the area or I'm out of state? Yes, you can build out of state, absolutely. I would actually recommend it, especially if you're in New York.
If you're not super familiar, it's not a problem.
Yeah.
It's all based on numbers,
Charleston, no
not
problem.
feelings.
Yeah, like we have builders in those areas. We have builders. Spartanburg's a really good market as well. I have a student in New York that's going to be building in Spartanburg. I have a student in North Carolina that is working on a $1.5 million build in South Carolina. He's actually working with one of the builders that I recommend. So yes, absolutely. Is it hard to build land
on
off
land?
of
City limits or out of city limits does not matter.
Whether it's within city or outside of city, as long as the numbers make sense. All right. Let's see. Portland, Oregon, but move into Houston. What are the effects and ways to see land, electricity?
Efficient.
What are efficient ways to see if land has... So your GIS, its Geographical Information Service, is pretty much any county. So type in your county. For example, Dallas, Texas. Type in, is it Dallas County? Dallas County GIS map. And then it's going to pull up, click that map. You could see all the utilities, the zoning, and everything else. Really useful. Major said, I have 4 lots on the coast and want to build. Great. I'd follow the 7-step process and work through that or work alongside us. That's an option. Joe said, currently have 0.42 acres in Buildup zone middle housing with sewer. County says, I can build 4 units outright. Currently have a small house, DSCR 200 on a $400,000 value. What does it look like to do owner occupied? So you would go through the entire... You want to do it?
Yeah, number one, you have $200K of equity. You can use that equity as the down payment to fund the construction for the 4-unit property. Number 2, you can choose investment or personal. You can owner occupy one and build a 4-plex and let the other 3 cash flow and help cover your mortgage. So not a problem.
What I would do is, while you live there, get it permit approved. Once it's permit approved, you can get loan offer or term sheets on the lending side. Once you have term sheets on the lending side, you can decide, do I want to tear down the house and build 4 units or next steps? Either way, getting the permits approved, it's going to go from $400,000 in value to probably $500,000 to $600,000 in value. So you're creating value there. Adam said, will this work in Kentucky? Absolutely, yes. It works in Kentucky. Him fighting to try and see his... that's funny. I was trying to see who was saying what. So I'm like, dude, let me see. But he's like, I have 90 questions. I got to hurry. Rosaline said, does a GC buy the material? We answered that. Yes, the GC does, but as a developer, you can pay for it on credit cards. Christopher said, would a well and septic system be part of the cost per square foot? No, that's an addition. So if you're building a house for $150 a square, horizontal development work is separate. If you have to bring sewer to the property, bring water, bring a well, bring septic, that's additional cost on top of that. All right. Is there calculators and such? Yes. So at Aiden, I have performas built out. Like I can show you guys my performa. Can I do that? Let me see. Can you show them the performa really quick? So I have performas built. I think if I share screen, let's see. All right. Can you guys see my screen? Do you guys see this performa Excel spreadsheet?
Want to switch?
Sure. Oh, put a thumbs up. The chat has like 80 messages. I don't want to skip. Thumbs up. All right. Ruben said yes. Great. So here's my performa that I built out. For example, I'm doing a project right now. I've agreed to $250,000 and I can build a 4-plex on it. I can do 4 units. They're going to be 950 square feet a piece. You have to head out? All right. Okay. Sounds good. Ruben's going to head out, so I'm going to be here. So $160 per square foot is the build. I would get a 10% builder fee is what I would get charged from the builder. Okay. And then I'm going to be selling these units for approximately $400,000 a piece. 375, 350 is more conservative, but 400 I think it could happen. So here, for example, on this build, 250, I'm gonna have to split the lot, add some sewer and water. It's gonna be about 30,000. This is a performer I built out. My Buildup community uses it as well. As you can see, this project is a 41% margin, $400,000 of profit. I'm putting in 150K and making 400,000.
Yeah.
My new mission when I do projects is I want to have the most profitable deals possible.
Shoot.
But technically, I could pay more for this land. I could pay 350 for this land, and it's still a 27% margin. I got it off market, and I got a really good deal. This is a performer I share with my students. They get to use it as well, and yeah, I love using it. It's what I live and breathe. I live and breathe the performer and Redfin. All right, K Reed, let's see. I'm going to use one of your duplex blueprints that I have for one of my builds, but I don't have the material list. Is that possible? So you can get a breakdown from the builder on the material list, or you can go to the construction budget. So this is referencing our education. Go to Ground Up Academy, go to step number 5 and get the construction budget, and you're going to be able to see the percentages of how much of the lumber is going to take up the whole project, and then you can get that built out for the duplex. Sal said, thanks for answering my question. I'm in Los Angeles. I own half an acre with homes going for $430. Cost per square foot is a minimum of $215 per square foot. I want to build a 1,500 square foot house with an ADU, refinance, take my money out. Can you break this down, and does it make sense? So this will be a full pro forma. I'm not going to break it down, but I will say, as long as if you add in the cost per square foot, $200 a square foot, put the square footage of 2,250 times 200, which would be 450,000, plus a builder fee is 500,000. Your values have, especially in Los Angeles, there's no way it's less than that. You're going to be at 500K cost. I'm sure it's going to be about 7 to 750K value, but you want to run comparables. Go to Redfin or Zillow. So I'll show you really quick. Let's see, share screen. Boom, Redfin, go here. Go to Los Angeles, California. Go to the filters. Thumbs up, you can see my Redfin, right? Yep, all right. You go here, go to filters, go to 2024 or newer. Click search, see homes, and go to sold. I can look at for sale, but let's go sold in the last 6 months. And as you can see, these are big houses. I'll go filter the smaller ones. So, because you're looking for 1,500 to 2,250, so I'll go 1,700 or less, smaller houses. As you can see, a 1,600 square foot unit is selling for 900K, 1,200 square feet for 788. And if you're maybe in these upper markets, you're still 1,300 for 600. So if you're going to be at cost of 500 for the build plus the land, you're definitely going to have the equity. I can see this penciling. That's just like quick math, but you have to fully break it down. Let's see. Step number 2, 4 things that Ruben named off. Nicholas Owen. Sale price, which is the performer I just showed you. Sale price, construction price, land price. Make sure the ROI is 25%. Gerard said, if I'm building a home and it's only a source of income, you say you have $250,000 of projected profit. Does the lender allow you to pay yourself to live off of? You could technically add in a developer fee and live off of that. I don't recommend it, but yes, there is a possibility to do that. Scott said, what if the land is entitled to the point where the person can start designing and submit the building permit, and the landowner is willing to subordinate the construction permit? Will lenders work with you on this? Yes, the lender will work with a JV, or you have to open up a LLC together, or option 3, the seller can seller finance, and then you can go get a construction loan. Erica said, I'd like to run a project in Florida Bayou. It's currently 9 townhomes all rented out. We have plans for 42 additional townhomes. We own the land free and clear, and it's worth $2 million. Is this something you can help with? Absolutely, I can help you with this. This is not a quick answer to a question. It's going to be a full underwriting session. I would jump on with one of my strategists. They're very smart. They know what I know. They're trained by me, and see if it's a good fit. They can potentially break down your market, and then you can go from there and decide if you want to move forward. Trista said, is anyone in Iowa? Just post that in the Buildup community. Robert Martinez, how much have you guys done in Las Vegas? I actually have a client in Las Vegas right now that's building a duplex, and he's going to have over $200,000 of equity, so that's really exciting. he's got the project, underwrote it, got the plans designed, he's in permitting, and he has experience in building. So he knows how to build, and he's going to be building for about $150 a square foot. Let's see. What kind of percentage? So what kind of percentage do you do to access for plans? The financing and the connection. So Osman, we do have the education platform. You can reach out to that same number and say, I'm interested in the education. If you're not interested in the full consulting package, we can share with you our building plans, our contracts, etc. I believe it's $1,997, but talk to my team. Carol, $1,997. What's the square footage do you allocate? What square footage do you allocate on a duplex? Depending where you build, what area, it's the same as a single family. So in Washington and Oregon, $150 a square foot. In California, $175. In Dallas, Texas, $100 to $125. Florida, $125 to $150. Midwest, you're about $130 to $140 a square foot. North Carolina, South Carolina, you're $130 to $150 a square foot. Joshua, my brother does hard money lending. How does he get on the list? Email me info@augusthb.com, augusthb.com, and send over all their information for lending. We're going to see if it's a good fit. So Adam said if you have 50,000 to work with, no, Adam said, is it 50,000 to work with you guys? No, it's not 50,000. I said if you have a $50,000 down payment, you can build a $400,000 to $500,000 home. We don't charge that amount for consulting. How do you get paid finding deals? So the way I do it is I get a deal under contract. I put a plan together. I show a design of what can be built in the area based on comps. I then build a pro forma like I showed you guys here. Then I go and pitch it to builders and developers for a higher price. I don't do this. That's what I did to collect fees when I was getting started. I collect $100,000 to $200,000 in fees doing that per year. That was my active income. Now I pretty much build everything that I pick up, or everything that looks good and is profitable, I'll build it. Let's see. Is the challenge for one home or as many as you want to build? So Levi, it's for one project. It could be a fourplex, a duplex. It could be a community of 10 houses. The goal is to get you in, teach you how to fish, get you set up with all the right lenders, builders, etc. And then you're off to the races building. It could be one single house or a fourplex. And now you can run the race and you can really become a developer and create a career out of it. If you're planning to build and sell, do you need an LLC? Nicholas, yes, I would create an LLC. It's better for tax write-offs. And then I would tax it as an S-Corp. Much more benefits. Anthony, that's I like all the points and kickbacks. Best prices on material, saves a lot of money. Thank you. Christopher, the cost per square foot includes landscaping, driveways, perimeter walls, all of it within the 150. Yes. If you go to 500 Northeast 117th Ave, I'm going to share this with you. It cost me $146 per square foot to build this. So 500, let's do this. 500 Northeast 117th Avenue, Vancouver, Washington, all in. The entire cost per unit was $146 a square foot. So take this number. 1509 times 2 is roughly 3,000 square feet times 146 equals $438,000, and I sold these for $467 each. So you do the math, $900,000 minus the build cost minus the land, it's a 25 to 30% profit margin. So 146 all in with permits and everything else. How do I become an expert in finding a lot? We teach that entire process, start to finish, of how you do it. But one of the ways is, first you got to understand the numbers, underwriting, etc. Then you got to have channels where deals are coming to you or you're sending out marketing. For example, direct mail letters is one of them. Off-market agents. I'll give you guys one today. Investorlift.com. Go create a free account, choose your markets, and start getting some deals sent your way. You can start looking at deal flow. Investorlift.com. You can do that there. All right. Samsung said, can I get a line of credit to find land fund and build my duplex, fourplex? Yes, you can use a line of credit, or you can use a HELOC, home equity line of credit, against your primary residence. A lot of our build-up community pulls a $100,000 to $300,000 line of credit and they go build. What kind of technology or resources do you guys provide besides education and coaching? We provide all of our templates, contracts, all the legal templates for our builders. We provide all of our plans, all of our relationship and connections, all of our CRM platforms. So what we use for building, what we use for the GC side, what we use for finding land side, just all the different tools and resources. You guys get all of it. All right. Let's see, Eric, should all builds be built with rain screen system? Ruben's not here. I don't think so. I don't think we do that for all of them. It depends on the type of build you're doing. Jason said, would you suggest paying cash for new builds and avoid loans? You can, but your return is going to be 25% versus leveraging a loan. I would say if you want to be more safe or you're a little bit more scared, you don't have to do 10% down. You can buy the land for cash and do 20% down. But if you have a 25% margin, that's the biggest key. Anthony said it's 8 p.m. here, and it was worth watching. Thank you so much, Anthony. I really appreciate it. It's 6:15 on a Tuesday. I could be at home with my kids and my family, but I do love this that much. I have that much passion for this, and I'm here and I'm answering all your questions because I love our community and I love you guys. If you have not heard that today, I love you. I appreciate you. Thank you for being here for the last 2 hours and 14 minutes. Aiden said, how do you find the zoning rules and the zoning changes? You can look up the zoning in your area. You can also pick the brains of your zoning officials. They are paid by our tax dollars. So I always say if I have a property, sometimes I'll ask them for what's the zoning, what's the setbacks, etc. Missouri doesn't have a GC license either, and other areas don't too. Great. Let's see. My company can pull permits to build a property, but the lender requires a GC license. What you can do is work with the GC company and hang their license with you. Sometimes they'll charge you a fee where they're going to be on the permit and you go as the project manager and build it out. All right. Where do you find the cost per square foot? I reverse engineer. So I find out the sale price. I find out how much somebody paid for land. The only missing bucket is cost per square foot at a 20% margin. So I have an entire lesson for my Buildup community. It's an hour long on how you can find the cost per square foot in any market where new construction is happening. Be careful with credit card. You don't want to utilize more than 30% or your credit card is going to drop. Yes, if you do 0% interest credit cards, just make sure that you have a plan to pay it off when the time comes due. I don't like 0% interest credit cards. The only time I'd use them is if I want to pay for permits and stuff ahead of time. And then when I get my construction loan 2 months later, then I'll pay it off. So 0% interest works great for that. Let's see. Finding land in any market, any county is the same formula and the same process. I've been able to find land in pretty much every city that our students are in where they're building. We were part of teaching them how to find the land. Can you share that performa, Brandon? No, that performa is for my students only. As part of the Buildup community, you do get access to it. And all of the other ones, we have like 10 or 15 different spreadsheets we use. That's the main one that I spend most of my time with. But then I have a construction budget spreadsheet. I have lots of other spreadsheets as well that you get to utilize as well. All right. Is it LLC required to start? No, I don't. I tell my students not to create an LLC unless you already have one. You create the LLC when you have a deal under contract and you're ready to lock in the financing. Then you go create the LLC and the bank account. No point to do it ahead of time. Yes, Hunter said, do you guys help us create the LLC and what's the most beneficial for taxes? Yes, we help you create the LLC. We tell you what we are doing and how we're doing it. We don't necessarily give you tax advice because I'm not your advisor for that, but we tell you our structure and you can mimic that same structure. How do I join the group, not the Buildup Challenge? It depends. If you want to be part of the group, you can go to buildupcommunity.com. If you want to be part of the Buildup Challenge, you can text this phone number. And if you want to be part of the education, you can text us about the education as well. We can get you connected there. There is a fee. Let's see. If the county allows 4 units, owner occupied, what's the best to do a fourplex or subdivide it into single families? If it's your primary residence, it has to be 1 tax lot, 4 units. So I would say keep it on 1 tax parcel. If you want to do 4 separate ones, you can live in one, but you can sell the rest of the 3 or rent them. You're not going to have a mortgage on all 4 separate buildings. What happens once you finish the first build? So once you finish the first build, you're set up for success and you can then move forward and run with it. You will still be part of the Buildup community. You'll still get to follow the Buildup community. If we do a quarterly meetup or we connect and we all fly to one location, you do get to be part of a lot of that. When it comes to one-on-one support, once you finish that first build, there is no more one-on-one support. If you want to continue it, there is an option to continue it and continue working with us and partner with us. but you get taught the entire process. Once you understand that first project or build or your next one to scale, you have all the tools and resources. The rest of it is just staying connected to our community and continuing to thrive together. All right. Let's see, what else do we got? Any suggestions on building in Virginia? Virginia is a great market. Actually, one of the Power Rangers is building a personal house. He's part of the Buildup community as well. Another student is also building a personal house in Richmond, Virginia. So great market. There's a lot. You've lit a spark and inspired me despite being in Canada. Thank you so much, Molly. I'm really happy. That right there is worth all of this. If I can light a fire under you to go take action. And one day, maybe you'll shoot me a DM and say, I was on your masterclass and I decided to take action and now I built 3 or 4 houses. That right there is worth it all. I believe in giving. If you give, you will always have. I believe in that principle. I believe in the word of God that if you give, you will always have. So I'm always giving. A lot of people say we give too much. We give too much free content, too much free value. But I love and I live and breathe that because I know if I take care of everybody around me, I will always be taken care of and I never have to worry. All right, let's see. So do you have any contacts in Montana? They skyrocketed the prices to build. If the prices for building are higher in Montana, the values are also higher, which means they still have a profit. You got to remember, nobody will ever build to lose money. So I know for a fact, if somebody is building in a market, they are making money. Let's see. Uh-oh, I might have just jumped forward. Okay, somebody said you missed my question. If I missed your question, please ask it again. I see a few questions here. Let's see. 8% interest on 224 15-year HELOC. Is that a good deal? Sophia said no. I disagree. 8.6% interest on 224. If it's interest only, yes, that is a good deal on your HELOC because you only get charged as you borrow. Let's do the math together. 8.6% on 224. Okay, I'm going to share my screen and we're going to do this really quick. Let's see. If they're charging you 8.6, so right here, 224, you have a balance. You're going to do this project, right? You're going to get charged 8.6% interest per year, okay? Divided by 12. You're going to get charged $1,200 a month on this down payment. You're going to get charged a total of $14,300. Well, you don't have to bring that money out of pocket. What you're going to do is you're going to borrow $169,000 plus you're going to pay the interest with the HELOC. You're actually going to borrow $183,000 from that HELOC. You're not bringing any money to the table. You're going to get the permits done in 3 months. You're going to build it in 6 and you're going to sell it in 3. That's 12 months. That's what I have here. You're going to pay the interest from the reserve. The bank is actually going to give the interest in this loan amount. So look, you can see the loan amount is 90%. That includes the interest and the construction cost minus 10%. Okay? So you're going to pay $14,000 of interest for borrowing on the HELOC. You're going to build this project out. You're going to pay the builder $60,000. You're going to get it built out. We'll even call it, I'm at $250,000, right? So $250,000 is my contract price right now for a deal. Let's call it $170,000. I'm conservative because you guys said, what if you build for more? Builder said $160,000. Let's call it $170,000. $175,000. I'll be conservative. The builder said not 10%, 12%. Okay, we'll pay him $80,000. It's still a 30% margin at $375,000. These are pending right now in Vancouver for $400,000 to $430,000. I'm still conservative. Okay, you're going to pay your agent, your excise. You're going to put $180,000 out on the HELOC. You're going to pay $14,000 for the duration of the project. You're going to walk away with $315,000 of profit. You're going to get your cash back plus your profit. Why? Because your loan is $922,000. You're selling for $1.5 million. You're paying the agents $100,000. That's $1.4 million left. You have a loan of $922,000. You're going to get a wire of the remaining balance of your down payment plus the profit. It's the two combined, down payment and profit. So you're going to get back that $314,000 and $165,000 minus paying the HELOC. So let's do the math. $314,000 minus the HELOC. You're left with $300,000 net after paying off the HELOC. Is the 8% interest worth it? If anybody says no, I can't help you. So that's why I love the game. I love the game of leverage if you have a good margin. That's the beauty of this game in general. All right. Can we do a deal walkthrough? You said city, state. Let's say Warren County, Missouri. Aiden. All right. I have land. We'll do that. Let me get through these couple questions. I have land free and clear, $62,000 now. I want it worth $100,000. So you have $40,000. You have $100,000 of equity because it's worth $100,000. You originally had 62, so you made 42K of profit. What's the best way to make? What's the best program to sign up for? So if I was you, because you own the land, I would fill out this application. Let me jump back. My team's gonna fill it out. If you're approved, you own the land. Put your capital that you have. You can put $100,000 of equity. Jump on a strategy call. They'll break down the Los Angeles market. They'll break down your land. They'll say, okay, here's what we would do if you were in your shoes. If you want to work with us, this is what it looks like. If it makes sense for you, you can move forward. You'll be in a group chat with myself, and me and you, we can jump on a call, on a Zoom call, and we can break it down and put a whole strategy together for your specific property. So that's kind of that's the way it works. That's the route. I'm sorry, I'm on the screen there. But step one, fill out the application by texting build, or text build, fill out application, and then jump on a strategy call. So just text that number, text build, and then you can go through that, and I can help you out. Do you have builders in Maryland? I actually have a student doing a 14-lot subdivision. It's going to be some really nice high-end homes as well, and then there are GCs out there. Can you be your own GC on a personal build and investment? Yes, you can be your own contractor on a personal house build and the investment build as well. Nicholas said earlier you quoted 10 to 15% higher if you went through a builder. No. What I said was if you hire a builder, the quote is 10 to 15% less than if you were to go yourself. Because somebody said, what if I build myself and go directly to the suppliers? Here's what I mean. My builder is going to go to my lumber supplier. And I'm going to get a quote for they're going to get a quote for $42,000. If I walk into the store and say, hey, I'm building my own house, can I get a quote? My quote's going to come in at probably $50,000, $8,000 more, because I'm not a builder. I don't have a connection. I don't do volume. What I'm saying is the builder actually gets better pricing for subs and suppliers. So I personally believe hiring a builder actually saves you more money than building it by yourself. Now, you might say, well, building 10%, you pay them a fee, $400,000 is build, plus you pay them $40,000. You could probably build the project for $440,000, the same as the builder's going to build it for $400,000, plus pay him a fee and not have to do the work. It's a wash. If you are really smart, you might save a little bit more. What I'm saying is the builder is so much better at building, they're going to save you money on the build side that you can pay them the builder fee. Okay. Who would I get in contact with to get a contractor sub list for paint? I want to save on my first build. I'm ready. So Joshua, if you're part of the Buildup community, we share our entire subcontractor list. You can hire my brother as the builder. He's a local builder, but we have builders across the nation, and then we can share the supplier list as well. So just reach out through the Buildup community. I missed the first part of the meeting. I hope I'm not repetitive on how to get started. I want to understand how the initial 50K would be used. So LP, we went through the entire 7-step process and shared it. If you have $50,000 of capital towards real estate, 10% down means you can build a $500,000 house. You have to have some closing costs, etc. If you're building a $500,000 house at 10%, there's also closing costs, so it's going to be a little bit more than 50. But the house is going to be worth $650,000. You're going to have $150,000 of equity and profit. So if somebody says, I have $50,000, I want to go look at what I can build, really, you're probably going to be closer to the $400,000 to $450,000 mark cost. So you can go look at houses selling for $500,000 to $600,000, new construction. Know that you can go build that for $400,000 and have at least $100,000 of profit. Question, finding deals for builders. How do you get paid exactly? When you find a deal for a builder, you sign it, you have a legally binding contract. If the project is profitable at 25% or greater, you can make a fee on it based on increasing the sale price of the land. For example, again, we'll go back to my pro forma. This is my deal, right? I'm at a 30% margin. Take out the builder. If I go pitch this to a builder, I'm going to pitch it to them at $350,000. I'm going to put 100K on top of the land and say, hey, here's the numbers. You're the builder. You can make 300,000 at a 28% margin. The asking price for land is 350. Let me know if you're interested. I'll have 3 or 4 builders in the pipeline ready to buy. Guess what? One of them makes me an offer of 330,000. They'll buy it for 330 cash. I got it for 250. I'm making 80. This project is profitable. I have the floor plan ready. I have my elevations ready, and I have my comps to prove the numbers. A builder can actually move in confidence and say, oh, this guy actually knows his numbers. I'm not really going to negotiate much with him. They might drop the price 50 grand. But I would rather build it myself and capture this profit than make 80,000 on the fee. Because I have the capital to do it, not everybody might be there. Hopefully that makes sense. Sophia said Citizens Bank charges 7.89. 7.89 or 8.6% interest is going to save you $500. Sure, you can go do it. Why not? But it's not the end of the world. Oh, Shane said, God bless you guys. Thank you. iPhone said, if I live in Canada, I want to go to the United States and do some deals. Where do I do this from home? So some of our students are building in the markets where we maybe have a builder or a build-up student. Dallas, Texas, our students building, so they're building there. Vancouver, Washington, we're building. Portland, Oregon, they're building there. Sacramento, we have some, they're building there because of the build-up community. Seattle, they're building there because of the build-up community. You can build anywhere in the nation, but sometimes they'll partner with a student to get their foot in the door from Canada to the U.S. Are soft costs included in the price per square foot? Yes, Christopher. I saved $120,000 on 547. I don't think you could save much more with the builder. Sure. I've built with builders my whole life, and it's great. I enjoy it. I don't have to do all the work. Can you repeat step-by-step breakdown of deal finding? Step-by-step, I don't know. It's a little too fast for me. I would say go jump on my YouTube channel, Arthur the Developer. I do a lot of breakdowns, and you can slow it down as much as you want and rewatch the video, so you can do it there. Antonio, for experience, what are ways a GC can still... Could the ways the GC can steal from you even though it's showing numbers on the front? I'm sorry, maybe re-ask the question, Antonio. It's not making sense. Alexis, can you fill out application, hop on a call, learn more about for the development side? No, so Alexis, if you fill out the application, you're actually interested in moving forward. It's not an underwriting call. There's a full application process. They're going to look at your deal. They're going to see if you're qualified. It's not just an underwriting call. If you want to go learn more about underwriting and everything, my YouTube channel is very transparent. Go to my YouTube channel, Arthur the Developer, and watch some YouTube videos. I go on iPads and I break down deals. Go for it. Adam, no rush. Don't want to forget deal walkthrough. Okay, so we'll do that. Single family and a fourplex are roughly the same cost per square foot. Why? Because a single family has way more tile and nicer finishes. A fourplex doesn't. So it all kind of balances out. A fourplex has less nice finishes, but it has firewalls and other things. And so it all kind of flows and balances together. They are roughly the same cost per square foot. Okay. 115, you are still here. I love it. Aiden said, here's Arthur's YouTube. Yeah, there you go. All right. Let's break down the deal or a market. Let's take a look. And then I'm going to jump off because, to be honest with you, I am hungry. I have not eaten since lunch 6 hours ago. Also, guys, I'd love to see in the chat, how's everybody feeling? How are you guys doing? How did you guys like this? Maybe the good, the bad, and the ugly, I guess. Proverbs says, those that heed correction and want to be corrected are blessed, and they do well because they are willing to always be better. I know I'm not the best version of myself. I know I can always be better. And that keeps me going, one, but two, it allows me to never be prideful and arrogant, but always know that I can be a better person. Alrighty, we have, let's take a look at Warren County, Missouri. First things first that I like to do when I'm looking at different markets is I go to new construction activity. So I'm going to go here to year built, 2024 or newer, and I'm going to look at what's happening in these different markets. So for example, here's a $450,000 house that sold 1,800 square feet. Missouri is a non-disclosure state, so you can see here it's not showing me the land price on this one, Let's see if any of them will show, but we can take a look and guesstimate where they should be for land. That's why I love performas and I love reverse engineering. Makes it that much more fun. So we've got 2 of these properties. We can look at both of them. Let's see what we got here. Listed for sale, coming soon. Cool. So 448, 1,700 square feet. And then we have the other one. Where is it? 450. So they're identical prices. So what would I build in this pocket or area? I would build a 1,800 square foot house and sell it for 450. All right, so if I'm here and I'm like, okay, 1,800 square foot house, 450. In Missouri, my student built for $110 a square foot, 1,811 square feet. Builder fee is going to be 10% and $450,000. If I look at this and I go, what should I be paying for land? All right, there's $188,000 of gross profit. What does that mean? That means that there's potential profit here, but we need to know what to pay for land. Reuven, can you see my screen? Can I get a thumbs up? My spreadsheet? Perfect. Just want to make sure I'm not on the other one. So now this is where you get to have fun with the numbers. I find out, okay, what could I actually pay for the land? If I paid $50,000, I would be at a 50% margin. That's still pretty good. And I can even be more conservative. Let's do 120 a square foot to be safe. My student just built for 120 a square foot. My student, Nick Labaduke, built a house for 140 a square foot, but really nice. Nice finishes, tray ceilings, taller ceilings, LED lights everywhere. So we'll call it 120 square foot, and let's put 12% builder fee to be safe. You see how I'm conservative. When I run my numbers, I like to be conservative. So now I can see, all right, in this pocket, if I was to find a lot like this, I could technically pay up to $77,500 to hit my 25% margin. 77,000 technically. Boom, right there. So do you guys see how I reverse engineered? And this is a random market. I did not look, somebody put it in the chat, Warren County. Let's look at it. Great. 25% margin, $80,000 of profit. Agent fees are $30,000. My construction costs will be $243,000. I have validation from my Buildup community that are building there. I have a builder out there that builds, and I have a student that built his house himself at 140 a square foot for a nicer home, and 90% down. Somebody asked $50,000. Okay. In this case, if you were to build this project here, depending on if you have interest reserve or not, this depends. You could get into the deal at $38,000 down, or if you wrap the interest into the loan, $51,000 down, you would make $80,000 net plus your money, the 100 plus the 50. So watch, you will get a wire of $132,000 for this project. 80K profit, 51K down. You grow your cash on cash. I hope everybody knows cash on cash after this call. I really do. You grow your money at 156% over the next 12 months. Would any of you guys do this deal? Put a 7 in the chat if you would do this deal. Okay? 7. Cool, I'm getting it. Great. So 448 for this one, 450 for this one. If you were to tell me, hey, I got an 1,800 square foot house, I'm going to sell it for $500,000. What would I tell you? No, you're going to sell it for $450 because that's what the data says. Oh, hey, well, I'm going to build a house for $70 a square foot. You're not building a house for $70 a square foot. I want to be the more conservative number. Somebody comes in and said, hey, I got a lot. Should I do it? They're asking $100K for it. Are you going to buy the lot for $100K and make a 16% margin? If you're part of Buildup community, you won't. I don't care if I'm putting $55K down and I'm making 100% on my money. I'm not doing the deal for 16% because that's risk. That's going to be if the market cools. If I sell it for $400,000 because markets cool down, now you just made $9,000 on your 50K, potentially broke even, made nothing. Not worth it. Not worth it. So if I come into this deal and I paid $50,000 because I'm underwriting the deals properly, I'm being careful, and I'm at a 37% margin, and I go end up selling it for $400,000 because market's corrected, you still made a 20% margin. You still doubled your down payment in a bad market. That's why the ROI is the most important thing when it comes to this game. Does that make sense, y'all? Loud and clear. Run the numbers. Yes. Any market. Any market. Dallas. It doesn't matter. You can pull up Fort Lauderdale, like Fort Lauderdale. I don't even know how to spell that. That's how often I'm in this market. I'm not in this market. Okay, a $4 million house. Let's underwrite a $4 million deal. Same thing. Doesn't matter. What do you guys see? How much did they pay for the land? Some of you might think, oh my gosh, $1 million for the lot. They're crazy. Let's run the numbers. They paid $1,080,000 for the land. As you guys can see, I'm yelling because this is where I'm passionate. Okay, $1 million for this. They sold it for $4.3 million. We know that. Okay, and then they built this house. Let's take a look at it. They put a pool. They did a lot of nice stuff. Okay, let's maximize their cost per square foot and still be at a 25% margin. Let's see what profit, let's see what cost of construction they could be at to hit 25%. That's what I'm going to do. Because now I can say, is this realistic? All right. They're not building for 120 square foot and they did not build this house. Cool. At 120 square foot, they're not doing that. Let's do any guesses on cost per square foot? Anybody? Like, throw some numbers out there. What do you think they built this house for? If we're building for 120 bucks in Florida, 125 is a spec home in Florida, but they built a nice house with a pool and some other stuff, right? They put some floating staircases. Like, they did a nice build. If I'm building for 120 bucks a square foot, what would they build this for? I know the numbers because I've built nicer houses also. 200 bucks a square foot is a baseline price. When somebody says I build a house for 200 bucks a square foot, am I turned off in this area? No. Let's keep pushing. Let's get to 25% margin. They built 200. Let's say they built for 300 bucks a square foot. Let's say they built for 400 bucks a square foot. Do you guys see the numbers? You can build this house for $400 a square foot. You can pay a builder $200K and you can buy the land for $1.1 million and you can still make $800K on this deal. Do you guys see how important it is to run the numbers and understand it? And what is the most important thing on any deal? What is the most important thing out of anything? I wish I could make this like crazy big. What's the most important thing? ROI. I went too far in, guys. ROI, 27%. Now let me ask you guys the question. Do you guys think they built for 400 bucks a square foot on this deal? Do you guys think they built for 400? Really? Here's what I think they truly built for. I think they built for $200 a square foot. Okay. Then they built the pool and landscape for $150K. Okay. That's what I think they were at, maybe $250. So that's their number. They probably walked away with a $1 to $1.4 million profit. Okay, let's be really conservative. Fine. They built for 300 bucks a square foot plus the pool, not 3 million, sorry. Not 300,000, but oh gosh. Okay, they built for 300 bucks a square foot. The builder charged them 20%. 20% because it's a really nice house. Cool. I pay 20% fee. Nice. Doesn't matter. I asked, like, did you pay a 40% builder fee? Oh, that's, wow. What was your actual numbers? What was your ROI? I don't care what you paid for the builder fee. I care about your ROI. So if they did this deal at like the worst case, we're like going crazy worst case scenario on a higher end home. Higher end homes are riskier. If you're going to do a high end build, I would say you want to be at 35 to 40% margin, safety net. It's good for you. Anyways, they came into this deal, 500K down, they made $1 million. They did pretty darn good. Let's look at the schedule. Let's look at how long it took them. Data, this is what I do on it. I love doing this. They bought it 2025. They listed it for sale in 2026. What do you guys see? What's the gap between January and February? 13 months. It took them 13 months to get the permitting, get the build done, and list it for sale. And then they sold it. Within 1 month, they went contingent. It took them 15 months. 15 months. And I'm telling you, $250 a square foot, and Florida is cheaper prices than us. So if I look at the return on investment for them, the return on investment for them on an annualized basis, so this number divided by 12 times 15, they did an average of 413% annually. let me reverse it. Sorry, divided by 15 times 12. Wrong way. They did a 265% annualized return on their money. Yes, it took them 15 months. But if you looked at it like annually, most investors look annually. They made 260% on their money. I don't know about you guys, but that ain't bad. Good question. Do we have to pay tax on the profit? Yes, you do. But if you are a real estate professional, there's lots of tax benefits to this game. All right, guys, it's late. I'm ready to go home. I appreciate y'all so much. I hope you guys learned a lot. We underwrote a cheap $400,000 house, and we underwrote a $4 million house, which is 10 times the price. As you can see, now when somebody says, how much do you build for? Who cares? How much do you buy the land for? Who cares? How much did you sell for? Who cares? What's your ROI? What's your actual profit? That's the number that actually matters. That's how we got to where we are today. That's how we scaled to over 250 doors, and why we love what we do and why we're here. So I appreciate you guys very much. If you haven't heard it today, I love you. Jesus loves you. And I hope you guys have a phenomenal Tuesday night. If you guys want to be part of this game, part of the Buildup gang, then just text Build to that number. And I hope to hear a lot of you guys building, whether you're part of Buildup or not. I hope to get a DM from you one day that says, I watched your masterclass and I'm building now. You changed my life. So that right there is rewarding and fulfilling. And as always, let's build up. Jake, thanks so much. Appreciate you, bro.